coffee so you can buy more coffee.
It's the Chris and Amy Show. Check it out.
St. Louis, Mound City, we are going to have a great day today.
Now, Amy Markscore's Chris Ranji on KMOX.
Let's take it from the top.
Hey, good morning, friends. We're getting closer and closer to 2025. Not yet, though, baby. We're going to still celebrate 2024 as long as we can. It is Amy Markscore's and Chris Ranji. Hope you're doing well on this cloudy day here in St. Louis. We have a phone number, 314-436-7900. Of course, we're streaming on the Odyssey app, which you can put on your phone and take us with you wherever you go. Leave us a voice message directly from that app and give us your thoughts, whatever they are. Doesn't matter what you want to talk about. We are here to be your therapist. And of course, we are streaming visually. You can look at us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at Chris Amy KMOX.
Time now for the top of the order. The top three stories everybody will be talking about.
Former President Jimmy Carter has passed away at the age of 100. We're going to talk to Peter Castor, historian, who will join us at the bottom of the hour, and Stuart Eisenstadt will join us, a former White House domestic policy advisor, will be with us later in the show.
And The Athletic polled executives in all four major sports to rank the best front offices. Chris Ranji doesn't know the answers. We're going to see if he can guess. We'll also let you know where the Cardinals and Blues rank.
Yep, and the Blues lose to the Sabres 4-2. SLU wins over William Woods. That's basketball. And Mizzou has a bowl game later this afternoon. So a great day to all of you, and we are glad that you are with us this morning.
The bond of our common humanity is stronger than the divisiveness of our fears and prejudices.
That is the voice of President Jimmy Carter, who did pass away, and he was in hospice almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And for somebody who had a pretty remarkable life, we have lost a former president.
Yes, the first former president to reach the age of 100.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, we have a couple of good guests to give some perspective on his life. And I think for me, probably the fondness in memory would be his service, his life of service after his presidency. He wasn't that great of a president.
I don't know that that's correct. I think that he gets
debatable.
a bad rap for being a bad president,
Mm-hmm.
but I think history has probably judged him a little kinder as it should have. He was a little better than he was given credit for.
Maybe, because even his most admiring biographers are pretty straightforward about his failures, which is fine. And he was out in 4 years, but he did have a life of service afterwards. My only real memory of Jimmy Carter is a maybe memory, and that's I think I saw him eating pancakes in Arizona one time next to
Why
us.
do you think that?
Because it looked like him. We were at a nice resort. I was with my parents.
How old were you?
This was like 10 years ago.
Did he have detail with him? Could you tell if there was Secret Service?
I couldn't tell, but they can be discreet.
Right. Well,
and there was an old lady with him, probably Rosalind, you would assume. And
I don't know if it was.
Maybe not. But I was sitting there eating pancakes, and I was like, that looks a lot like Jimmy
It
Carter.
probably was.
So then I Googled, and guess what? Jimmy Carter was in Arizona in that year because he was there for a book tour. I think I ate pancakes next to Jimmy Carter.
So one day before the presidential election in 1980, November 3rd. So he came to St. Louis multiple times, 79, 80, 78 also. He spoke at Granite City High School. And I know for a fact it happened.
Weren't you like one?
No. I was 3.5. Okay. So I was getting close to 4. I was
close to 4.
I was getting close to, actually, it was probably like 3 and 7 months.
Listen, I was close to 4. I remember Jimmy Carter.
Well, here's the thing. It did happen. He absolutely spoke on the grounds in front of the high school. I have a memory of seeing him and being on my dad's shoulders. So either I have made this up completely. I know I was on my dad's shoulders.
Yeah.
But I remember it.
Mm-hmm.
So either I have formulated the memory in my head, but I know for a fact it happened. I was there. My dad took me. I think my mom was there too. My grandfather was police at the time, and he was working detail. So he was there for it. And it was the day before the election. He visited Granite City. He visited East St. Louis that day. And then, of course, November 4th, 1980, he lost to Ronald Reagan. But I have a memory of him speaking in front of my high school.
I mean, maybe you do start remembering bits and pieces and little shadowy figures at that age. I remember the first thing I knew about Jimmy Carter, because my grandparents were very politically involved, so they would, tell you things. My very first memory of Jimmy Carter is that he wrote a letter to the aliens. That was the first thing I knew about Jimmy Carter, because he did. He wrote a letter to extraterrestrials in 1977. It went up in the Voyager, and I think my grandpa told me that, and that really stayed with me. Stayed with me more than the gas prices, I can tell you that. That's interesting to a kid.
Well, yeah, I don't think gas prices are interesting to children.
That's what I mean. So my first Jimmy Carter memory is he's the guy that wrote the letter to the aliens. So anyway, we will be talking about Jimmy Carter more with some
Peter Castor's coming up in about 20 minutes.
All right. I have some news story quizzes for you, and it's like a true or false, but the answer is, did it happen in 2023 or 2024? And it's harder than it sounds.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
All right.
And I'll tell you why I think this would be hard, because time
means nothing.
I mean, not anymore.
Not anymore.
I don't even know what it is.
If you said yesterday, I'm thinking 2019.
Yes.
And if you say 10 years ago, I think 1998.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Okay. Little out there, but former FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison for massive fraud. When did that happen?
I think that happened in 23, right?
Happened in 24.
It did?
It did.
Why does that feel so long ago?
It feels like 3 years ago. Harvard president Claudine Gay, she had to resign amid multiple controversies, including extensive plagiarism.
That was this year.
That was 2024.
Right.
Okay. Britney Spears published her memoir, The Woman in Me.
That feels like a 2023 thing.
2023.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at this.
SpaceX launched its mega rocket Starship for the very first time.
That also feels like a 23.
That was 23.
Dude, I'm so good at time.
You're pretty good.
I'm so good.
President-elect Donald Trump had his mug shot taken in Atlanta.
That also feels like 23.
How would you see? I thought that was 24. That is 23.
Because the whole him going to the and them following the motorcade, the helicopters with the cameras following the motorcade to Fulton County Jail. I thought
that was this past year.
Did it happen last fall?
Maybe. I have no idea.
Yeah, but it does. Yeah, I think that's right.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis dropped out of the race for the Republican nomination for president.
That must have been early this year.
2024.
Dude, I'm unbelievable.
Icon of the Seas set sail from Miami as the world's largest cruise ship.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There was a story.
You can tell me that happened in 2015.
Yeah, no. So that was this year. There was a story in the Atlantic. It was called "Crying Myself to Sleep on the World's Largest Cruise Ship," and I think it was like a circus and like threw up all over the cruise ship. It was disgusting.
Look, if any cruise company wants to advertise with us, hey, welcome.
Welcome.
But I will tell you this: there is
no way.
I have the only cruises I have any interest in are like those Viking River cruises. The ones where they're in Europe. Those look really cool.
So, my Aunt Kay and Uncle Keith, who always listen to our show on the Odyssey app in Europe.
Yeah.
They do the Viking River cruises.
That looks like fun.
Yeah.
My guess is it's a lot of elderly folks, which is fine. I will make elderly friends.
Mm-hmm.
But when I see what happens on the ocean liner cruises now, it just looks like a mess. It doesn't look like fun.
I don't want to be stuck with people, and I don't want diarrhea. I really don't want diarrhea.
And that's the other thing. The thing that's, how like you have one experience or you hear one thing about something, and that's the only thing you can think about forever. Like
the alien letter?
When they had the overflowing toilets.
Oh.
Whenever that was it like 12 years ago?
I don't know.
I forgot which one. I don't know if I'm not going to just name them, but one of those cruise companies, one of the boats had like overflowing toilets, and that's all I think about.
So one time, Charlie Brennan we had Bob Costas in studio, just, to visit as he does. And Charlie likes to, he would always seamlessly transition into Alive. And they were talking to Bob Costas, and he asked Bob about cruises. And Bob went on a 7-minute tirade about how he would die before he went on a cruise. At which point Charlie jumped off into his cruise commercial and said, we're going to have to make this up to them.
That's awesome.
It was incredible.
It was 2013.
Yeah.
Carnival Cruise. They had overflowing toilets. So for whatever reason, when I think of cruise liners, I think of overflowing toilets and Legionnaire's disease.
Legionnaires. I go to norovirus. I thought Legionnaires was coughing. Like,
well, that happens in hotels a lot. Not a lot, but it does happen in hotels.
Legionnaires sounds like it hasn't happened in 300 years.
And what's a cruise? It's a floating hotel.
It is. All right, last one. The U.S. fighter jet shot down a suspected Chinese spy balloon.
That was 2023.
He is correct.
Yeah.
You nailed it. I don't know.
I guess I'm better at the timeline than I thought I was.
Yeah. You're pretty good at it.
Right.
I wouldn't know. Again, if you said 10 years ago, I picture 1998.
It really does feel. And I don't know if it's a function of getting older or if it has something to do with how insane everything feels right now. But it just does feel like all of these events blend together and who knows what happened when. Right? Doesn't it feel that way to you? And again, I don't know if it's just because that's how time works as you put up the years, or if it's very specific to right now because everything feels insane.
Yeah.
I don't know which it is. It might be both.
I do think it has more to do with time and age, just because I feel like I felt this way even before things went insane. And even more than politics, it was the COVID years that completely messed me up.
Yeah.
For a couple of years, when I said last year, even into 2022, I would say last year, and I meant 2019.
See,
I did that a lot.
Well, I do that with high school stuff. Like, I think you mentioned 1998 at the top of the show. 1998 feels like 5 years ago to me.
2005 will almost be 20 years ago.
I know, bro. That's...
What?
Can't even handle that.
I feel like we're having a crisis. We should be having this crisis tomorrow.
That's Amy Marks. We're going to have all sorts of crises in the next 48 hours.
Yeah.
Amy Marks, Kors, Chris Ranji, the number 314-436-7900. And you can leave us a voice message directly on the Odyssey app. When we come back, Amy is upset that she can't do a thing that she loves to do, which is drive and text. It's going to be illegal soon. We'll tell you about it and other things on KMOX.
The voice of St. Louis. News that matters to you. KMOX.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
I plan to rearrange my closet, but I stopped after picking the clothes up off the floor.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's award-winning language learning app will help you start speaking another language. Start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
Comment tu t'appelles? Comment tu t'appelles? Vous êtes où?
Vous êtes où?
Babbel's bite-sized lessons make it easy to learn words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks,
"How's your French going?"
you can say,
Babbel est amusant et facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue. Et cela ne prend que 15 minutes par jour.
when you want to really learn another language, it starts with Babbel. Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
or if that resume was from someone who
worked 12-hour shifts at the recycling company with my dad, who's 72. That taught me a work ethic that I carry with me every day.
we rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone
Growing up where I did, a lot of things could have gotten in the way of my goals, but I learned to push through, and that's what I bring to work every day.
So maybe it's time we look beyond the resume and look to Grads of Life. Discover new ways to develop great talent that are so much more than what's on paper at gradsoflife.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
We can get more sleep, we can get more sun, and we can get more exercise. But the one thing that we can't get more of is time. It's time to eliminate the one phrase that could be holding you back from reaching your retirement goals. I'll take care of it tomorrow. It's time to pick up the phone and make the call to Gary Goldberg and the team at Financial and Tax Strategies. 618-361-4232 or online at checkwithgary.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Centaurus Financial Inc., an SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Gary Goldberg, NPN number 918615.
News, talk, and the heartbeat of St. Louis. This is KMOX.
Really sorry about this, Amy.
Well, you know how much I love to send you texts while I'm driving.
Yeah. You have one hand on the wheel,
Mm-hmm.
one hand on your phone.
Yeah. And then another hand holding a cigarette. And another hand putting on mascara.
Do you know that just before you bring this up,
Yeah.
the story, I don't know that I could be more surprised
Uh-huh.
or flabbergasted even
Yeah.
if I saw anything more than if I saw you with a cigarette in your hand. If I saw you light up, like if we walked out of the office to the garage and you got in your purse and you pulled out a pack of Marlboro Lights
Yeah.
and a lighter, I don't know what I would do.
Okay, serious question. Would you like me a little bit more? Like, would you think I'm a little bit cooler?
Probably.
Or would you be like, oh, gross? Because imagine how my car smells.
I do think smoking is gross.
Yeah. That's pretty judgy.
But if you did it,
yeah,
I would be like, who is this person?
Would you say,
it'd be awesome.
Would you say, Amy, imagine how fast you would be at running if you stopped smoking?
I know.
Maybe I would be an Olympian.
You would, I think it'd be really cool if you lit up, if you just inhaled the damn thing.
Yeah.
And then you flicked the butt at me and you got in your car and drove away.
Honestly,
that would be so
when
badass.
I quit this job, that's probably how I'm going to do it.
Awesome.
Because I feel like if you make a statement to someone and you have a cigarette to flick on the ground and stomp on,
what a mic drop that is.
There's no way to overcome that.
Dude, especially if there's gasoline on the ground and then there's a big fire starts.
And you walk away.
Yes.
And as the flames die down, you see my silhouette
Oh.
walk into the horizon.
Wow, you'd be cool. All right.
I would be amazing. Well, anyway.
Now go back to you being lame.
So now I will have more hands to smoke cigarettes because starting on January 1st, 2025, drivers in Missouri who are caught violating the new hands-free phone law could face fines as opposed to just warnings. Now, if you've seen any of those MoDOT electronic billboards, there's one at 141 and 40. They're all over. You see, instead of the cute little rhyming phrases like "don't be a punk," "don't drive drunk," which stuff like that,
which are outlawed now, right?
But they still had them. They really did. The last one was like, "Jingle bells, don't drive drunk." I don't know. It's something like that. Like they try to get up with the holidays, but they have been warning people that the new hands-free phone law goes into effect on January first, here's the thing. It's still a secondary violation, meaning police officers cannot pull you over for texting and driving. It's like the seatbelt law. You can only be written a citation after pulling the driver over for a primary violation, like speeding or weaving around lane lines.
Isn't it wild? And I know we had this conversation when the law was finally passed, and that was it earlier this year? That we could not believe that it took this long to get there, because it's just such a clear and obvious thing that should be illegal. And I know that everybody does it. Not everybody, but a lot of people will text when they drive, or they're at a stoplight and they'll text, which I don't think that's that big of a deal to do that. But this is very obviously something that should not have ever been okay to do.
Yeah,
you can't read a book while you're driving a car. Why could you be able to text?
Terrible. It's so dangerous. And to me, you can tell when someone's texting and driving because they are driving erratically. They're speeding up and slowing down.
You can see their head keep looking
They're
down.
weaving out of their lane, right? They're drifting out of their lane. And then when you drive up to pass them, their head's looking down, and it makes me so mad. It's like driving drunk. And again, but you cannot be pulled over for having your phone in your hand or texting and driving. And yes, you are still allowed to use a navigation system.
Yeah.
But if you're pulled over for speeding or weaving in and out of traffic, you can be given a secondary violation. I will say, I think if you crash, I think they do check your phone to see if you'd been texting.
I don't know if that's true. I think they have to have a warrant.
They might have to have a warrant. It sounds like they would need a warrant, but I heard of another person, like a kid who was in a car crash, and they're like, well, they were checking their phone and said they had not been texting, but maybe it was the parent checking to see if the kid was texting.
It might be. And it might be that the police asked to look and they voluntarily gave it over, which we have talked to attorneys before. Don't ever give your phone to a cop, ever.
I know. And I was like,
unless they have a warrant for it.
I was speeding, and I didn't mean to speed, but I was speeding. I was going like 11 over on the highway, and I passed a cop, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get pulled over. And the first thing I thought of was, my car insurance is on my phone. Show him the car insurance, or show her the car insurance, but don't give him your phone. And I was like, already like, and I did not get pulled over, but I was already giving myself a pep talk. Don't hand your phone over, no matter what they say. And then I figured, what am I going to say? And this was my line. This is what I came up with was, I'm really sorry, sir. I'm on, the only reason I know that I'm not going to give my phone to you is because I'm on KMOX, and we talked to this lawyer, and he said not to do it. And that's the only reason. I'm not trying to be abrasive or antagonistic. It's just, I'm on the radio, and we talked to this lawyer, and he said not to do it. That's what I was going to say.
So
I was going to blame Brad Young.
You're going to blame Brad Young, but also you're sort of, you're flirting with, do you know who I am?
Oh, well, that's not what I meant. I could just say I'm on the radio, or I talked to a lawyer.
Yeah.
I just didn't want him to think that I was like, I don't have to give you anything. Hey, can I read something I texted myself?
Yeah, go ahead.
I remember this. This happened a couple of weeks ago. I was so mad. I was driving down Highway 40, and this guy was weaving in and out of traffic, like from the far right lane across 4 lanes to the left lane to the right lane, and cutting people off. And then guess what happened when he got off the highway? I passed him. He put so many people's lives at risk to weave in and out of traffic for me to end up passing him because he had to slow down anyway. He was in a black, grayish Porsche Cayenne, maybe? I don't know. It was a Porsche. He had a gray short beard, gray hair, and he was chewing gum. And he got off at Olive Boulevard. And I passed you. I'm texting this to myself. After you put people's lives at risk by driving like a complete idiot, weaving in and out of traffic and cutting people off, you're the worst, sir. I wanted to call him out on the radio, so I texted myself that.
And it was Matt Pajeski in his Porsche Cayenne.
And his gray beard.
And
he was chewing gum. You were an idiot, sir.
What does chewing gum have to do with it?
Because I want him to know I'm talking about him. He was on Highway 40 West. He got off at Olive Boulevard, weaving in and out of traffic, putting people's lives at risk.
You know the guy with the gray Porsche Cayenne, gray beard, and
That's
chewing gum.
That's a KMOX listener.
No, but you know that he's like, that can't be me.
It was him.
It's not even registering to him.
Oh, so mad at that guy.
That's Amy Marks Coors. I'm Chris Ranji. When we come back, Professor of History and American Culture Studies at Wash U will talk to us about the passing of Jimmy Carter and his legacy. Peter Castor is with us next.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
Cold weather is coming. Is your garage door ready? Cardinal Cowboy here. 30 years ago, when I woke up from a coma and was lying in the hospital bed, I felt stuck. I know you don't want the feeling of being stuck out in the cold because of a faulty garage door. Renner has you covered. Whether it's repairs or replacements or a new opener from brands like Delden, Amar, or LiftMaster, Renner will keep your door working like a charm. Check that one off your to-do list.
RENNER, RENNER.
At 10:30, cloudy skies, 47 downtown at the Arch. Good morning. I'm Scott Jagow. Some stories we're following right now. Flags across the country will fly at half staff for the next 30 days as the nation mourns the loss of Jimmy Carter. Cannons are firing every half hour at West Point in a tribute to Carter, a former naval officer. Carter was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize for his diplomatic work after leaving office. A federal appeals court has upheld a jury's finding that Donald Trump sexually abused a columnist. The case was about an incident in a department store dressing room in the mid-90s. Today's opinion upholds a $5 million award a Manhattan jury granted to E. Jean Carroll. Jobs are up across much of Illinois, including the Metro East. The biggest increases are in a couple of college towns, Champaign-Urbana, Carbondale, Marion. The Metro East added about 1,000 jobs over the year. Your weather forecast is sponsored by Fast Eddie's Bon Air.
KMOX AccuWeather, cloudy and mild today. A shower or two late in the day, high 55. Cloudy and turning breezy tonight with occasional rain and drizzle. We'll have lows right around 40. New Year's Eve, we'll see rain ending in the morning. Breezy and cooler the rest of the day with lingering clouds and a high of 45. On New Year's Day, clouds give way to sunshine, high 39. This is AccuWeather meteorologist Heather Zare on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
If you're 21, come over to Fast Eddie's Bon Air on 1530 East 4th Street for great food and entertainment. The home of the big Elwood on a stick, the big Fat Eddie burger, and the world-famous Peel and Eat shrimp. See you at Fast Eddie's in Alton, Illinois. Right now, it's 47 in St. Peters, 48 in Florissant, 48 downtown under mostly cloudy skies. I'm Scott Jagow, KMOX News.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Reel in the big one at the best fishing expo in the Midwest, the Let's Go Fishing Show, on January 3rd through 5th at Gateway Convention Center in Collinsville. Visit vendors with the latest fishing boats, rods, reels, tackle, accessories, resorts, and guided services. Shop unique, one-of-a-kind items, and top-of-the-line marine electronics at discount prices. Attend free seminars. Meet pro anglers, Bassmaster Elite Series pros Brandon Palaniuk, Steve Kennedy, and more. Free fishing pond. Win prizes from Wholesale Batteries, Canoe Canada, and Tri-State Trolling Motors. Visit letsgoshows.com for coupons and more info.
Local news can come at you fast. Want the latest on what's happening in your backyard? Download the free Odyssey app. Follow your local news station, and you'll get alerts on the top stories making headlines in your city. You can stay in the know, no matter what you're up to, and be among the first to find out when news breaks. Plus, keep tabs on weather and traffic, so you're never caught off guard. To get started, download the Odyssey app. That's AUDACY, and follow your local news station.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance, and cover your furry friends with pet health insurance.
It seems like almost every day there's another news story that makes us wonder if we're ever going to be able to make it to retirement. And building a nest egg isn't easy, but every week, Steve All sorts through the headlines and breaks it down and explains what they mean.
We got a lot of people calling with a lot of different questions. Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Be sure to tune in every Saturday morning at 10 for the All Financial Hour, right here on KMOX.
If it's happening in sports, Bernie Nicholas talks about it Tuesday and Thursday on the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
My mother and father used to come here often to see the Cardinals play in the summertime. Between the time we quit plowing crops and time when we harvested crops, that was called lay-by time during the Great Depression.
That is the voice of former President Jimmy Carter, who passed away over the weekend at the age of 100. Talking about St. Louis, he visited here a number of times, actually. And to discuss the life and the legacy of the former president, Peter Castor is a professor of history and American culture studies at Washington University, and he is with us on the Quiver River Electric guest line this morning. Good to talk to you, Peter Castor. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you. And, you know, in discussing the presidency of somebody like Carter, who is remembered fondly now, at the time, his approval rating was under where I think even where Joe Biden's is now, something like 34%. So it's very low. He did not win re-election. We all know that. But as we look back at his presidency, was it a better one than he's given credit for or not?
So I think it was. And I think also understanding the approval ratings really requires recapturing that time of the late 70s when the United States faced tremendous challenges and was in economic slump. And the president always pays the price for that. He's the one who people target for it. But one of the things that a lot of people are rediscovering now are ways that Carter saw a future for the United States that a lot of other people at that time might not have. His whole vision, his concern about the environment and sustainability, his vision for improving the national defense structure, which was really costly when he was proposing it. These are just a variety of ways in which he was imagining a future for the United States that the rest of us only caught up with later.
Is it fair to say that the ideals of a Jimmy Carter president far surpassed the reality and accomplishments of the Jimmy Carter, the president? Meaning he had good ideas of how he saw America, but he wasn't able to get tax reform, welfare reform, healthcare reform, obviously things that weren't necessarily his fault, like stagflation and oil shock, but, you know, he was there. He was president. Is it possible to just say his ideas were great, but he wasn't that effective?
I wouldn't say he wasn't that effective. I would say he ran up against real limits of what he was able to accomplish. And he emerged from the presidency not as the person we remember him as now, but, you know, I've had, for example, my students have read the memoir that he wrote right after he got out, and they said, wow, he seems kind of angry and bitter. And for the first 5 or 10 years after he was out of office, he clearly felt that way, deeply frustrated about what he'd been unable to accomplish and deeply upset that people didn't appreciate what he had accomplished. One thing that I think is easy to lose sight of is he had succeeded a series of really troubled presidencies. The Nixon presidency, the last years of the Johnson presidency, and of course the Kennedy presidency, which ended with an assassination, and Gerald Ford, who was a president who no one had elected. And one of the most important things Carter did was to kind of reestablish the presidency as a dignified office, that someone was elected to the office, they lost re-election and they left office. It's difficult to recapture just how disrupted American politics had been during the 1960s and 70s.
Talking with Peter Castor, who is a professor of history and American culture studies at WashU, with us here on KMOX. I think we tend to look at former presidents and our opinions of them soften over time. So what I'm wondering is that what's happened with him? It's just a natural softening of the idea of Jimmy Carter, or was it actually in practice better than we think?
So that's a great question. To a certain degree, there is a softening that happens to the memory of every president. There's some really interesting studies of this on the approval ratings of presidents changing over time after they leave office. But I think the important thing to bear in mind is both what Carter did and what he wrote. So a lot of presidents who don't get a second term or who leave under a cloud are often restless by former presidents. They're really invested in finding something to do and often in rehabilitating their image. Richard Nixon did this. Bill Clinton did it. To a certain degree, Donald Trump did it. And so Carter went out of his way, not only to do things, but in a series of books to lay claim to what he had to offer. But I think what's really important, he was not papering over what he had done. Richard Nixon never really dealt with Watergate and all that entailed. What Carter did was to imagine a new stage of life for himself as a humanitarian, as a volunteer, to do all of these things that Americans really admired. So I survey my students every year when I teach the presidency and ask them to evaluate every president. And Carter, the largest number of them, they say great president, even though they know his presidency was really limited and unsuccessful in some ways. They see this kind of the totality of this person. And so they come out of that with this sense of someone who accomplished a great deal and accomplished a lot of great things on behalf of other people.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. Speaking of Carter's accomplishments, a lot is focused on the negative side of his presidency and obviously being a one-term president. But interestingly, coming from the more conservative side, there have been several more conservative writers, the National Review, pointing out the conservative debt to Jimmy Carter on how he laid some of the groundwork for some of the conservative policies of Ronald Reagan, whether that was deregulating certain train and trucking industries or replacing G. William Miller with Paul Volcker, and how he kind of laid the groundwork that you didn't see the results of that during Carter's presidency, but it really empowered Ronald Reagan.
And I think the two of them together also really changed American politics. I tend to think that presidents often align with people we don't associate them with. Carter and Reagan, different parties. Reagan very critical of Carter. But Carter's the one who really mapped out the outsider roadmap for presidential candidates in the modern era. His predecessors had all run as insiders. They said, elect me because I've been in Washington and I know how it works. And Carter came in saying, Washington's got a lot of problems. My job is to disrupt that. My job is to question how things are regulated. My job is to question existing institutions. And that's very much what Reagan argued. Now, they had different policies they wanted to follow. They targeted different agencies. But I think you can see them together as presidents who really wanted to disrupt American politics.
Yeah, along that line, I figured I'd throw this out there to see what you think, with the National Review pointing out that the Carter-Reagan initiatives, especially within the Cold War, what brought them together is they both had to have, quote, an iron will to endure torrents of criticism, which seems to be what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carter had a particular challenge on this. He got elected at the very moment that Democrats had really been pushing for a different way to conduct the Cold War. They had seen how their legitimate concern was that the United States had been dragged into destructive wars and that had at times escalated the risk of nuclear conflict. And Carter believed that, but he also believed the U.S. had to have a modern military. He himself, of course, had served in the nuclear Navy. And so he had criticism coming at him really from all directions all the time. And one of the things we've learned about him afterwards is that he really felt that. Some politicians have a very thick skin. It kind of bounces off them, or they just don't believe it, or they dismiss it. one of the amazing things about Jimmy Carter is that as much as any former president, he really gave people access to how he felt, what it was like to be a president, to his own weaknesses, to his own beliefs. And that's not an easy thing to do. Presidents often put their private lives on public display, but in a very manicured way. Jimmy Carter didn't manicure this. He was very open and honest about who he was, about what he believed, about how he felt, and about what that meant to him after he left office. I mean, I think we really saw that over the last 2 years, where he set out to demystify hospice care. He was in hospice for a long time. And he said, I want Americans to know what I'm going through so that they can learn about this in case they or a loved one faces the same situation.
History professor at WashU, Peter Castor, talking with us now. And we know that President Carter visited the St. Louis area multiple times over the course of 2 or 3 years. In fact, he was here the day before the 1980 election. He was over on the east side of the river. Why did he come here specifically so often?
And I'll start by saying he spoke at WashU twice, which of course I'm very happy about. Let us remember what Missouri was at that time. Missouri was a swing state. Missouri had gone with every winning candidate in every election. Missouri also had a higher count in the electoral college at that time. It was it was an important state in its own right, but it was also an important part of his vision of how the Democratic Party was going to work in the South and in the Midwest. The party had been losing in a number of key elections. That was his chief claim. He said, I come from Georgia, and I'm going to imagine a way forward for Southern Democrats. And he saw Missouri, right up against a bunch of other Southern states. And he said, we need to get Missouri locked in. And it was also one of the things he was trying to do was not just get elected, but like all candidates, he was trying to change his party. And he wanted to secure new gains for the Democratic Party in the South and in the Midwest.
Peter Castor, professor of history and American culture studies at Washington University here in St. Louis. As always, it is great to talk to you. Thank you for visiting with us today.
Always a pleasure to be with you. Have a good day and a happy new year.
Same to you. Again, Peter Castor with Washington University. He is fantastic. We continue our coverage today on the passing of President Carter. We will talk to Stuart Eizenstat in the next hour. In fact, we're going to have that conversation in about an hour from now, who is the chief White House domestic policy advisor to the former president. And he's been making the media rounds today, so he's carving out some time for us as well. Amy Marxkors and Chris Ranji, did you see this? Next.
What's it going to take for you to realize the IRS is in full-blown attack mode, and if you have IRS issues, your timely response is critical? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. We certainly know the IRS has ramped up efforts because we're seeing a lot more clients with threats of intents to seize property or levy rights to property. If you have IRS issues, call the Lance Drury Firm today. Today, don't wait. Those IRS notices have hard deadlines for exercising your appeal rights. If you miss the deadline, your rights to a legal appeal are gone. Let the Lance Drury Law Firm get between you and the IRS today, and we'll help you manage your case to achieve the best outcome. IRS problems are serious legal matters, so call Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Don't wait. Call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120, and schedule your free consultation with me, Lance Drury, or visit lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
St. Louis, there's something new and fresh for sports fans at midday. The Gas House Gang has arrived. Every weekday at noon, join insiders Tom Ackerman, Kevin Wheeler, Matt Pauley, and Bernie Nicholas as they break down the latest Cardinals news with analysis only true experts can bring. Catch the Gas House Gang live on the KMOX YouTube channel and KMOX Sports on X. And if you miss it, tune in for the replay every weeknight at 8, only on KMOX, your home for Cardinals baseball.
When a parent struggles with addiction or dies from a drug overdose, what happens to their children? Far too many end up in foster care, unable to ever return to their birth homes because it's simply not safe. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is fighting the clock so that teens don't age out of foster care, leaving them at a higher risk of addiction and other negative outcomes that can happen to a child without the love and stability of a permanent family. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
I'm Andrew Stolz, and this is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Now, did you see this? With Chris and Amy.
Ranj, we have another chess controversy.
Oh, wait. Is this about the pants?
It is about the pants.
Yeah.
So Magnus Carlsen, who is the world's #1 ranked chess player, #1 in the world.
Yeah.
So he wore jeans on the first day of a tournament and got kicked out of the tournament. But guess what? He's been invited back. Here's the lead here. The world's #1 chess player, Magnus Carlsen, will return to the World Rapid and Blitz Chess Championships in New York after initially withdrawing as he refused to change out of a pair of jeans. He's 34 years old. He showed up to the World Rapid Championship on Friday after a rushed schedule. He said he was at a business lunch. He ran back to his hotel room. He changed shoes and socks. He put on a blazer, a sport coat, and a nice shirt, but he didn't change out of his jeans. And the organization said that the official dress code will remain in place and that he needed to change out of his jeans. And he said he got a warning and he said, I'm not going to change my jeans. So then he said it became a matter of principle and said, fine. This was what he said, quote, they can enforce their rules. That's fine by me. My response is, that's fine. I'm out. Blank you.
Wow.
But anyway, they relaxed their rules for him and said he's okay. He can come back and play.
It doesn't really make sense that he would. Like, why would you want to wear jeans?
I will say, sitting around in jeans is not comfortable.
Especially if you're trying to hide a personal gratification device.
No,
jeans would not be the kind of thing.
He wasn't the one.
Was he the accuser?
He was the accuser.
Oh, okay. Wait, who did he accuse again?
Some other guy who came up through chess.com, which is legit, but he accused him of using beads in an orifice in order to know what moves to make, which, to be honest, sounds pretty complicated.
It really does.
It would take an enormous amount of self-control.
I love the fact, and we have talked about this before, but man, I think we should celebrate it every now and then. That cheating scandal happened here in St. Louis, and it was such a funny story that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia made fun of it. They did a whole episode about it, basing it on that. I love it.
Well, I'm glad.
I mean,
I don't know where to go with this. No, but at any rate, so Magnus Carlsen, he is definitely playing in jeans tomorrow because the tournament said it would relax its rules to accommodate, quote, elegant minor deviations. The beads were a deviation. They didn't accommodate those. Those were deviant for sure. Deviant. But anyway. Yeah, there were beads, guys, in an orifice, and I guess they go.
Oh, come on!
They'd go bzz bzz.
Yeah, quit. Okay.
You'd go move it to E4.
Hey, I gotta play something funny for you guys. Back when this first came out, Hancock and Kelly were talking about it, and Kelly did not know about it, and Hancock broke it to him. And tried to explain it to him. It's just real quick. I have to play it.
Okay. Yeah. Buzzing devices in his anal cavity.
What? That was the first time Kelly had heard about it on the air.
But like, who's buzzing? Is it a different person buzzing, saying, go do this move?
Oh, my God.
And how do you not get a little whoop? How could you not see it in his eyes?
Do you know that there are very few things that I love more than when Hancock and Kelly discover something in real time?
The buzzing balls in the butt apparently is not is frowned upon in the chess world.
What?
What did he say there?
The buzzing balls in the butt apparently is not is frowned upon in the chess world.
Oh my God.
Well, honestly, I think jeans would be better. Jeans are they're a little bit, they have more structure to them. I think if you had a thin pair of drapey twill, you might be able to tell something was going on down there. I think you need a structured pant.
Oh my God.
Don't you think so?
I
You
don't
don't think a
that you-
structured pant would help cover that up more than a drapey twill? Maybe something.
No,
a little
I almost
clingy?
feel I almost feel like the jeans, because they're usually tighter, I think they would hide it.
No, you want it hidden. You think they wouldn't hide it?
Amy,
What?
I know you saw this.
This guy.
We probably need to move. I know you saw the story about the dating site.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about this again?
Yes.
Or because we were
So,
talking about
the St. Louis Metropolitan Police are investigating a carjacking that occurred on Saturday. Here's what happened. A 21-year-old man went to the 5400 block of Ridge Avenue. That's in the Hamilton Heights neighborhood. He was expecting to meet someone he had met on a dating site. Instead, he was met by an armed man who demanded his keys, the items in his pocket, and carjacked him
this happened where?
in the Hamilton Heights neighborhood
Well,
in St. Louis.
So that's funny you say that, because did you see this story from in Illinois, Mount Prospect, Illinois? 11 teenagers have been charged after they lured men from a dating app to meet up with them, and then they beat them.
Oh my gosh.
It happened around 9:45, and it happened back in July. A 41-year-old man, he went to the Mount Prospect Police Department and reported he had been beaten by a group of teenagers. And this was according to a release from that police department a couple of days ago. He was supposed to meet up with a person he met on a dating app. When he got to the meeting location, he said he was approached by a group of teens who started to beat him. They also damaged his car. He was able to get into his vehicle and drive away, although the teens followed him in their vehicles. About 10 minutes later, police responded to another report. A 23-year-old man told police he arranged to meet a person from a dating app, and when he arrived, he was approached by a group of teens.
Oh my gosh. I'm kind of. So I hadn't really thought about this with guys.
And those
so
teens
much.
beat him and slashed his car tires.
Oh my
by the way.
gosh.
Yeah.
This is terrible. And I guess I'm maybe surprised it hasn't happened more, because you are just setting someone up. I've always been afraid, like on the dating apps, that the girl's going to get murdered or something. But I
Yeah.
guess this is something that the guys could worry about, is that it is a group of ne'er-do-wells trying to set you up and take your stuff. That's terrible.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan of the dating sites. I don't like things like Craigslist. You know, selling things on
people are going on
Craigslist or
Craigslist to
Facebook.
find someone.
No. But you set up a meeting to sell something, and you show up, and they beat
Yeah.
you and take it.
You know what
Like,
you need to do? You need to go to Craigslist Missed Connections. It's incredible. He goes like this. I saw you in Forest Park.
Yeah.
You were wearing red shorts and you had a blue hat. I thought there was a connection when we passed.
Yeah.
I would love to meet you. You could do that.
Do you think people still look at it to see if there's anybody they
I
missed?
know a way we can find out.
All right. That's Amy Marks Coors. I'm Chris Ranji. As we mentioned, the Music City Bowl earlier today, we talked about it. Mizzou is playing in it today. It will happen this afternoon against Iowa in Tennessee. And Eli Hoff covers Mizzou athletics for the Post-Dispatch. He's with us next on KMOX.
Winter Wonderland, presented by St. Louis County Parks and Byerly RV at Tillis Park, is open now through December 30th. Enjoy more than 1 million dazzling lights with holiday characters and festive scenes while listening to your favorite Christmas songs. Whether you're carrying on a family tradition or starting a new one, you'll never see anything like Winter Wonderland at Tillis Park. More at KMOX.com. Happy holidays from Quality Waterproofing, Wash U Orthopedics, Rawlings Sporting Goods, Telly Tire, and Together Credit Union.
Did you get a call or message that mentioned Social Security that made you feel threatened or scared? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, press you for personal information, or demand instant payment. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Don't fall for it. Hang up, ignore them. Report this criminal activity to oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
At Neovitin, our goal is to create safe, dependable multivitamins to support your everyday nutrition when you need it most. That's why Dr. Ribicki formulated Neovitin Original Formula Multivitamin with 20 daily ingredients, including B vitamins for energy support, vitamin C for immune support, and our 4-ingredient proprietary blend that you won't find in any other multivitamin. With a 4.8 out of 5-star rating on Trustpilot, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality nutritional support with Neovitin. And as always, a portion of the proceeds from the sale of Neovitin Original Formula Multivitamin are donated to the Ribicki Foundation to support pancreatic cancer research. That's nutritional support you can feel good about. Support your best life today with Neovitin Original Formula Multivitamin, available at your local Dierbergs, Schnucks, select independent pharmacies, and online with our easy-to-use monthly subscription at neovitin.com. That's NEOVITIN.com, neovitin.com.
It is 11 o'clock in mid-America. We've got some clouds. It is 47 degrees downtown at the Arch. President Biden is remembering one of his predecessors.
We'd all do well to try to be a little more like Jimmy Carter.
The president calls him an extraordinary leader, statesman, and humanitarian.
He built housing and homeless for the homeless with his own hands.
A friend of 50 years.
Millions of people all around the world, all over the world, feel they lost a friend as well, even though they never met him.
A man worth admiring.
What Jimmy Carter is an example of is just simple decency.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
The former president appeared on KMOX's Charlie Brennan show in 2009 to promote his book, Then We Can Have Peace in the Holy Land, a plan that will work.
This is not your first book. I think it's your third book on Israel and the Palestinian question.
Yes.
And the last one was very controversial, where your critics called you a liar and an anti-Semite and a supporter of terrorism and senile and a racist. Undeterred, you decided to keep writing about this subject.
Well, the ones who made all those epithets against me hadn't read the book. They just saw the title, which was Palestine Peace, not Apartheid. And they adopted that one word, apartheid, and related it to Israel, which I didn't do.
It may be a while before MoDOT fixes highway signs laid over after being hit in traffic crashes. MoDOT area engineer Jen Wade says each sign has to be made to order.
We are having really long wait times, just supply chain issues with getting those large, what we call structural signs built.
The large exit sign for 3200 Broadway has been laying down on the side of 55 long enough to have graffiti sprayed on it. Wade says that sign, along with other structural highway signs on the interstate in St. Louis, will be replaced in the next 2 years. The Israeli military has raided one of the last remaining hospitals in Gaza City. CBS's Holly Williams.
That hospital was the last major healthcare facility in northern Gaza, but was put out of service, partially burnt and destroyed following a raid by Israel's military on Friday. That's according to the World Health Organization. Israel's military claims the hospital was being used by militants and says it detained over 240 of them during the raid, including 15 who participated in the October 7th attacks.
A basketball legend is celebrating a big birthday.
Blocked by James. He did it again.
Happy birthday, LeBron James. He's 40 years old today, the milestone making him the first player in NBA history to play in his teens, 20s, 30s, and 40s.
An incredible shot by LeBron James.
Sports Illustrated honored him on his 40th with another cover. The four-time NBA champ and all-time scoring leader has graced the cover more than 40 times.
Oh, he's stuck. LeBron James puts it down.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
The KMOX Business Desk, a Grammy nominee, is brewing up something new with the nation's second largest coffee chain.
Sabrina Carpenter is cashing in on her hit single by teaming up with Dunkin' on a signature drink. Sabrina's brown sugar shaken espresso debuts tomorrow. Dunkin' says it's a combination of bold espresso, brown sugar notes, and oat milk shaken to perfection. The company is releasing a limited edition shaken espresso shaker. You can buy that online for $13. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
The Dow from Stifel's currently down 338 points to 42,654. Got a stalled vehicle they've just cleared out 255 West. A Telegraph was on the right shoulder.
Mostly cloudy and mild this afternoon. A shower or two late in the day, high 55. Turning breezy with occasional rain and drizzle, low near 40 tonight. This is AccuWeather meteorologist Heather Zare on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
We've got clouds across the region now, 46 in St. Peters and Florissant. It's 47 downtown at the Arch. Feels like it's more like 40, though. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
The Chris and Amy Show is sponsored by Social Media Diet Plans. Unfollowing your stress, one post at a time.
College football happens today. The Missouri Tigers are featured this afternoon, a 1:30 kickoff, as they will play in the Music City Bowl in Nashville against the Iowa Hawkeyes. And to discuss the game today, Mizzou athletics writer for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Eli Hoff, is with us on the Quiver River Electric guest line. Good morning, Eli. How are you?
You know, I'm doing well, standing here inside Nissan Stadium, looking out over the field. It's a beautiful day for one more football game this season. How are you guys doing?
We're doing okay. It is college bowl season right now, and I know that for a lot of people and fans of a lot of different teams, it doesn't matter all that much unless they are in the college football playoff. But what do you think this game, if anything, means for Missouri and for the fan base?
Yeah, it's an interesting time with bowl season. Obviously, it seems like these games mean a little less, especially with the 12-team college football playoff. And then you have Missouri coach Eli Drinkwitz yesterday calling this game an exhibition game for his team, which I don't know if I've heard a coach speak so bluntly about what they think it does or doesn't mean. So it's still a chance to get to 10 wins. It's still a chance to just get another victory, which is going to matter to these players once the game starts. But it's hard to see this game mattering more in the big picture than any given SEC game, for example.
As you brought up in your piece for the Post-Dispatch, Mizzou will have at least 10 players who aren't playing in today's game. And as you mentioned, the coach already called it an exhibition game. There's the transfer portal and opt-outs. Has it really diminished the value of a bowl game to a point that it kind of takes the fun out of it?
I don't know if it takes the fun out of it. I think it's more that this game becomes about fun, right? It's about the team getting a trip to somewhere different, the players getting to see some of the destinations, the bowl gifts, all of that, getting to play in an NFL stadium, their families coming over for it. So I think it becomes a little bit more about the experience than the outcome of the game. You know, I'm sure whoever wins will be very happy afterwards, and whoever loses will be disappointed for a little bit. But the college football world will keep turning at an incredibly fast rate. The transfer portal will open back up for Mizzou after this game. Both teams will have to move on pretty quickly afterwards, and I think just stick with what the memories of the game are versus the result.
Yeah, as you mentioned, what Eli Drinkwitz said about this game, you really very rare. In fact, I'm not sure I've ever heard a coach say that, because typically the coaches will be upset if players aren't available for them, or if they decide last minute to make business decisions for themselves and opt out of a bowl game. Doesn't it seem a little strange and I'm not saying it's bad. It just is unusual to hear a coach basically say, hey, this game is only an exhibition and nothing more than that.
Yeah, it was very strange. It caught me by complete surprise when he said it yesterday. He started his press conference with kind of the usual semi-scripted stuff of how excited they are to be in this game and how much it means and all that. And then when I'd asked him about the chance to get to 10 wins on the season, he said he's not really caught up in that. And then he said the line that really it's an exhibition game for them. He's someone who obviously is prone to sound bites every once in a while. And lately he's been saying it like it is, talking a little more bluntly. He's been calling the transfer portal free agency, talking about salary caps, which is the modern state of college football. But to hear a coach pretty bluntly say what it is, I'm sure he's not the only coach who views the game this way. But again, just to say it publicly at a press conference with the bowl representatives right next to him on stage, that was pretty striking for sure.
So in your mind, what bowl games do matter? Like what bowl games then would have or how many, I should say, bowl games matter to a coach would be upset if players are opting out and they do actually care about the outcome and it's not just about the experience?
Yeah, well, for the sake of fun, I'd like to say the Pop-Tarts Bowl because that one seems like an awfully good time. But realistically, it's probably anything that isn't the college football playoff is going to kind of go this direction of being an exhibition or a glorified exhibition or whatever you want to call it. Just because there are 12 teams who are still playing for something, the rest are playing for fun or one little novelty trophy or something like that. So more and more, I think this is just sort of what maybe not the bowl industry, but bowl season, bowl week, whatever you want to call it. I think that's where this is headed at this point.
Brady Cook is going to play his final game for Missouri today. And this is one of the more important quarterbacks they've ever had in their history. Just how important has he been to the program?
Yeah, I mean, you look at what this team has accomplished under Brady Cook. You look at what he's meant to them as a leader. I think back to the homecoming game this year against Auburn when he sprains his ankle, goes to the hospital for an MRI, and comes back into that game. You could write a movie about that, right? Just some of the stories of what Brady Cook has done in a Missouri uniform. And you add that to the fact that as a kid, he was coming to Mizzou games. We've all seen the photos of a young Brady Cook with his family or, giving high fives to players during Tiger Walk. Seeing a hometown kid like that go on to have success with the school he's always dreamed of going to, it's something special. He'll probably wind up in a similar category to Cody Schrader, where he's who coaches are talking about years down the road of what their ideal player looks like, what their ideal leader looks like. So it'll be a special day for him, an emotional day, I'm sure, too, playing his final game, but a good chance for Missouri to send him off the right way as well.
So, again, the Music City Bowl will happen this afternoon, and it doesn't seem – there are a lot of college football teams, so I guess it isn't that unusual, but it feels unusual that Iowa and Missouri have only played each other. This will be the second time in 114 years. That seems low. You would think that by accident they would have played a handful of times.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's strange too, because if you look all the way back at the history books, when college football was first starting in the late 19th century, Missouri and Iowa were playing each other all the time. Right? They were yearly opponents in the same conference, and then the last time was the 2010 Insight Bowl. So it's been a while for sure. There are plenty of other teams in the region who aren't in the same conference as Missouri who they still find a way to play. But yeah, there's a novelty factor here that Missouri and Iowa share a border, but do not share many college football games with each other.
I'm wondering if you're going into this game, you're playing this team that they have not played very often. What can the program get out of a game like today? It's not a playoff game, which that's what everybody tries to get to, is the playoff. And now with a 12-team format, it's a little easier than it used to be. So, but what can be gained from the Music City Bowl for Missouri if they're able to win it?
Yeah, I think there are kind of three main things that are at stake here, regardless of whether anybody says it's an exhibition game or not. One of them just being a chance to get to 10 wins. It would be the third time in program history that Missouri would have back-to-back 10-win seasons. So that's not nothing, being able to get there. Second, if they get to 10 wins, Mizzou's coaching staff gets bonuses. So they can say it doesn't matter, but there's a financial incentive for them to go win this game. And then I think the final thing is just, regardless of the outcome, you get some opportunities for younger players. Some of these wide receivers who are going to be called upon next year, some of these defensive players. It's a chance for them to go out in a competitive environment and put something on tape, kind of establish a baseline for what they're then going to be working on this offseason and spring practice, all of that. There are so few opportunities for you to really play young players and not have to worry about if things go wrong, there being real heavy consequences for that if you're a college football team. So it's a big chance for some of these young guys to go out there and show what they can do before they're competing for spots on next year's depth chart.
Beyond the financial benefit or the incentive for the coaches, is there any benefit for them? In terms of, I would think the security is already there, at least for next year, but just because they've made it to a bowl game. But does it mean anything greater for them if they get a win?
Maybe. I mean, like you mentioned, it's not like anybody's job's on the line. It's not like anybody's on the hot seat as things stand now. So I don't think anything would drastically change if it's a win or it's a loss. Again, a win is never going to hurt anybody's job security or standing in the industry or anything like that. But I don't know if there's anything special there. There's not really any Iowa connections on the Missouri staff. I don't think it's anything necessarily personal, other than just an opportunity to go out and win and get some new guys involved.
All right. Eli Hoff, Mizzou athletics writer for the Post-Dispatch. We appreciate your time. Enjoy Nashville.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Again, that game kicks off at 1:30 today. It is Mizzou and Illinois. And then tomorrow, Mizzou and Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, Illinois will play in their bowl game. It is the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl against South Carolina.
I do feel like cheese and citrus, not a great
match
combo.
You don't think so?
Yeah. Hey, quick question. Let's say you bought tickets to the Music City Bowl. You're excited to see Mizzou. They've got some stud players. Are you disappointed? None of the stud players are playing? I shouldn't say none, but
no.
Because you knew they wouldn't.
I think you just I think most people look at these bowl games that are not playoff games exactly as Eli Drinkwitz said. They're exhibitions.
Yeah.
I've always kind of felt before they even had the playoff, when it was the committee deciding who the two teams were playing for the championship, and that was it. It's like, all right, you're the two best teams, you're playing for the title, and somebody was always left out.
Yeah.
Other than that game, I don't think I've ever cared about bowl games. Just because you win and then what? I mean, it's nice to get that win.
Yeah.
It's nice to finish the season on a win, but I don't.
Because
bowl games never did anything for me other than the championship.
The BCS,
game.
That's what it was before the playoff.
Yeah.
And there would always be arguments about the BCS.
Yes.
And wasn't it when they threw Notre Dame up there?
Yeah.
And people were like, dude, they're undefeated, but they're not ready to play with the big dogs. What was that? One of the last BCS games? Was it Notre Dame Auburn? It was one of those. It was Notre Dame versus an SEC team, and people were upset about it because they were saying another SEC team with one or two losses.
I know what you're talking about.
Better team than Notre Dame.
Vaguely remember.
I thought it was Auburn.
It could have been, but that was clearly a worse system where you just had a committee deciding who the two teams were going to play in the title game.
Yeah.
Instead of, because there was always that third team that had a really good claim to be there and didn't get an opportunity to prove it. So the 4-team playoff, definitely better than the way it was. And I think the 12-team playoff is about right. I know that people have been criticizing it because those first round games were all blowouts.
Mm-hmm.
There have been a lot of blowouts in the national title game too. So it is what happened last week is not proof that the 12-team playoff is a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, when we come back, I want to tell you about an experience that I had. I was not able to walk the plank.
Oh man. Wish you would have.
Well, I couldn't do it. I chickened out. I wonder if you would be able to walk the plank.
Can't wait to find out what this is about. I'm serious.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
It's Chris and Amy on KMOX.
One of the best ways to find out about 3-Day Kitchen and Bath is actually to hear the results for yourself. On the phone with us is Wendy in Darwin. Wendy, you got a brand new bathroom.
I do, and it's beautiful.
Are you loving it?
I am absolutely loving it.
Okay, tell me about your bathroom.
It went from a dark room that felt like an absolute cave when I walked into it to a bright, airy, opened the space up. I mean, I don't know what else. It's just absolutely wonderful.
now.
She's almost speechless. So, Darwin, tell me about all the man stuff. How did it work? The quality, the convenience. How did they do?
Excellent. We contacted 3 Day Bath, and they got back to us the next day. The communication was excellent. They were on time in all their promises, and it's beautiful. It's a great bathroom.
Would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely.
For more about your new kitchen or bath, visit 3daykitchen.com.
3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Have you ever tried something for the first time and then wondered how you ever got along without it? That's how thousands of new Navage users describe their first experience. Once they feel sinus relief and can breathe clearly again, many wonder why it took them so long to experience the Navage difference. Navage uses refreshing saline and gentle suction to quickly suck out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Stop suffering from congestion and start feeling better again with Navage. Brand new look, same great product.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Cold weather is coming. Is your garage door ready? Cardinal Cowboy here. 30 years ago, when I woke up from a coma and was lying in the hospital bed, I felt stuck. I know you don't want the feeling of being stuck out in the cold because of a faulty garage door. Renner has you covered. Whether it's repairs or replacements or a new opener from brands like Delden, Amar, or LiftMaster, Renner will keep your door working like a charm. Check that one off your to-do list.
RENNER, RENNER.
Mid-America's most trusted voice for news. KMOX.
So I went to, there's a Christmas party at a friend's house, and they had the Meta virtual reality goggles system.
Oh, yeah.
And they were laughing and talking about how there's a game, I think it's called Richie's Plank, and it's you go into, I'm not even joking, it's like Richie's Plank experience.
Richie's Plank.
Yeah. And you go into like 100-story building, and you've got these VR glasses on, so apparently, you know,
That is exactly what it's called. Richie's Plank experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You walk into an elevator, you go to the 100th floor, and there's a little wooden plank, and it's hanging off the side of a building. And you walk the plank, and you can jump off the plank, jump off the building. And they were telling me about this and how the one guy said, he was like, I couldn't do it the first couple times I tried. My hands were sweaty. My palms were just sweaty. I was shaking. I felt kind of nauseated, and I couldn't get myself to walk off the plank, even though it's fake. It's virtual reality. You're wearing goggles. You're standing in the floor in the family room. So we went to a party, and people are doing this. And one friend puts on the glasses. He was like the first one to try it. Puts on the virtual reality goggles. And you actually use your hand to press the button to go up the elevator. And they look ridiculous, by the way. Any type of meta virtual reality goggle is like, you know how like they used to joke like that those like Poindexter glasses were birth control? These glasses, these meta virtual reality glasses are like uber birth control, in case you're wondering. But the first person to go like starts visibly, he went from standing there completely normal in the middle of the room with goggles on, looking like a dork, to all of a sudden his body tenses up. And his hands go out, and his feet, he starts to wobble like he's gonna fall over, and he's visibly agitated. He's like, I can't do it. I can't walk on the plank. And I'm like, you're being so dramatic right now.
Again, I'm watching video of this right now,
Yes.
and it is
Not that impressive.
An elevator door opens up,
Yeah.
and there is a plank like
Yeah.
you would like on a pirate ship. And the street is 60 stories below, and
Yeah.
you're looking down, and it feels like it's not like graphically convincing,
No.
but it still does kind of feel like you are walking the plank over the street of a high rise.
So I'm watching him he's immersed in the world, and I'm watching him like look like he's gonna fall over in the middle of the family room. He's like, I can't do it. He takes the goggles off. His back is like soaking wet with sweat. He has to take his jacket off. He looks a little ashen, like he had actually been on top of this building. So I put the goggles on, and I'm thinking, just tell yourself it's fake.
Yeah.
I know I'm in the family room.
Yeah. Quit being dramatic.
Quit being dramatic. It's just a game. It's probably not even that cool. I get in the elevator door opens, I see the plank, I'm 60 stories high, and all of a sudden my body tenses up. And I try to put one foot forward in front of the other, and my stomach drops, and I start to feel like I'm going to throw up, and my head starts to spin. And I keep telling myself, this is fake. You're in the family room. And I almost wanted to cheat, which would be to lift the goggles up, remind yourself you're on the floor, and put the goggles back on. I even thought I could really cheat and make people think I'm really impressive by just closing my eyes and walking forward. But I didn't. I wanted to actually force myself to walk out on this plank that doesn't exist. And I couldn't do it. And another friend did it after me, and she crawled on her hands and knees and like reached out to grab the edge of the plank. And I will say, people only were able to walk the plank and jump off the building once we mirrored it on the television. So they got to see it three or four times before they did it, which I think helped. But when you go into it blind, I don't know how to describe it except that I felt sick to my stomach, and I physically could not convince my brain that what I was seeing wasn't real.
So when you've seen videos of people doing this, and I mean videos of people with the goggles on, with the little handset
and they look
things that
ridiculous.
they hold, and then they'll dive into the TV or something and break it, or they'll break something in the living room. Your instinct is to say, okay,
you're an idiot.
Relax, idiot. You're not here. But it's funny that you say this, that you were feeling the same way, then you put them on.
Yeah.
And you felt disoriented.
I did. I felt so disoriented. And one friend actually ran into the banister because she did the Santa experience where you could jump down chimneys.
Yeah, I've seen the video of that too.
And she jumped to get down the chimney and she hit the banister. And we're like, oh my gosh. But I think I want to try it again. The only reason I didn't try it again the second time is I didn't want to ruin the party. And I actually had a pretty bad headache afterwards. I think my brain was trying to adjust.
And you said other people had that sensation.
The back. It felt like the best way I can describe it is, like a vice, like the back of my head was in a vice, like it hurt. And a couple of the girls said, I'm going to throw up on the carpet and I don't want to ruin the party. So they did not do it. So I think some of it probably, and maybe some of the dizziness has to do with your eyes and brain adjusting to virtual reality. And there is something to be said for doing it multiple times because the people that own it, they can do it now. But they said the first few times they couldn't do it.
It's one of those things where I'm not sure that I could ever get to a point where it's, it would be, I don't think I would seek it out to do it if I was at a party or something, but it's probably going to be the future in a lot of ways.
I would say this.
I think that there have been, and I've seen VR, I forgot who made it, but it was like you put the goggles on and you could watch sports, for example. But the sports, the screen that you're looking at was sort of like a free floating TV screen. I don't think I'd want to watch sports that way.
Yeah.
It would probably be way too disorienting for that.
I would say if I wish I had it here, like I would never want it. I would never want the VR meta goggles. It's weird. It's one of those things where you do it once, you're like, okay, that was fine. I would say if we had it right here, I would want you to try it because I want you to see.
Just to know what it's like.
Yes, that I was so judgy of these people. I was like, stop being so dramatic. It's fake. It's fake. Just walk the plank.
That's how I felt about it when I see it.
I was so judgy. And when I put it on, all of a sudden, my stupid brain could not comprehend.
I think that is the extent to where I'd go with it.
And that
Just
was it.
try it once.
Yeah.
I don't think that it would become a daily part of my life. And I don't know if it's because I'm older and I've already been set in the ways that things that I like. And this is just who I am. I enjoy doing things this way. And I don't want to completely alter how I do entertainment. Maybe it's that. Maybe the future will be this, that everybody is using VR, but I just don't. I don't have a whole lot of interest in it,
No.
other than just to try it once.
Yeah, no, I didn't. And I will say it did, like in the screen, like all these things are popping up and it says Deeks wants to join. And I go, guys, Deeks wants to join. And I like was trying to figure out what I was doing. I'm swinging my
I'm trying
arms
to figure
like a
out who
maniac.
Deeks is.
Well, that's the thing. And then I turn, I go, guys, I let Deeks in because there
no.
was this man standing there. What I didn't realize is that was me. I guess I turned it so I could see my avatar, but because it wasn't my VR set, it was another man. That's why I thought it was Deeks. So for a while, I thought I let Deeks in. But how weird is that? Is you're in your family room and suddenly you're sharing a world with a stranger, a VR world, who's standing there. That's weird.
That's Amy Markscore's I'm Chris Ranji. Well, you know what? Sports doesn't go away just because, it's the winter. Even though it doesn't feel like winter, it's like 50 degrees.
Yeah.
We got the bowl games happening. We got Mizzou playing today, the Illini playing tomorrow. College basketball is ongoing, and so is the Cardinals offseason. Matt Pauley, host of Sports Open Line, joins us next on the Chris and Amy Show.
Honesty, integrity, humility, purpose. We're looking for people that share these values. As an officer in the Springfield, Missouri Police Department, you'll train in a state-of-the-art facility, learn special skills, and most importantly, learn that being humble through it all builds a better community. Our next training academy starts soon. Work hard and dedicate yourself to the craft, and I promise you'll have some amazing opportunities. Visit gospd.com for more information. That's gospd.com. Brought to you by the Springfield, Missouri Police Department.
They say no two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app with over 16 million subscriptions sold? Well, we thought of you. All of you. Take Sierra. She's an artist and absolutely a visual learner. She's doing a deep dive into our Babbel wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Malcolm is very much a type A, say it to my face type of learner. So he checks with Babbel's speech recognition to make sure that accent?
Sur le point.
Keith is sweet. He's a be in the room with real people kind of learner. So he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
Wherever you are, however you learn, Babbel is the best choice to break any language barrier. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
At 11:30, we've got clouds and 47 downtown at the Arch. Jimmy Carter spent his life in service working for peace and is renowned for decades of humanitarian work after leaving the presidency. Carter was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his efforts. Presidential historian Douglas Brinkley on the late 39th president's efforts.
He won a Nobel Peace Prize, which represents for him all the work he did at stopping civil wars around the world, of monitoring free and fair elections, of combating river blindness, guinea worm disease, tuberculosis, leprosy, you name it.
Carter was 100. Road work on 55 going south at Route M. That's got the right shoulder closed. Shower 2 possible later today. High temperature 55. Occasional drizzle overnight, low 40. And for tomorrow, high 45 with rain in the morning that ends as we go through the day. Right now, 47 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX. Did you know that St. Louis Composting has an array of STA-certified compost, soil, and mulch products that are available by the bag or by the truckload? It's the healthy, all-natural, cold-weather dyed for your garden and lawn. For more information, visit stlcompost.com.
Nominations for the 2025 Women of Achievement are now open. This St. Louis Area Award is the oldest ongoing program in the area, whose sole mission is to honor and recognize the volunteer service and volunteer leadership of women. If you know an outstanding volunteer in the St. Louis metropolitan area, or if you are one, Women of Achievement wants to hear from you. Nominations, including self-nominations, may be submitted now through January 11th. For more information, head to KMOX.com. It's men's Billikens basketball action tomorrow afternoon as they face Fordham. Pre-game 12:45, tip at 1. Hear the game here on your home for Billikens basketball. KMOX.
Yo, Paulie! Paulie's a great name. Yo, Paulie! What'd you do for Paulie? Anything? Me, Paulie! I was responsible!
Paulie, we're here because of you!
It's the Chris and Amy show on KMOX. It is time to go to the Quiver River Electric guest line today. Brought to you by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family owned and top rated, RennerDoorSTL.com. Matt Pauley is with us. What's going on, Matt?
Not much. You guys doing okay back there?
No, I don't think so.
Well,
I don't think so, Matt.
Yes. I just happened, as I was about to bring you in, I just happened to look at what's trending on Twitter, and it's Arch Manning is number 1, and number 2 is Butthole. So, I just, and then it's
wow, that's number 1 for me.
Is it really
in the United States?
Why is Butthole trending?
It should be number 2.
Dude. And you make fun of Amy and me.
That was a
stupid
good
joke. That was dumb.
I think, is it a coin?
I don't know. We'll get to the bottom of it.
I think butthole coin.
So, Matt Pauley, Blues win, or Blues lost over the weekend. They lose to Buffalo. Was it yesterday, actually?
That was yesterday. It was.
Yeah, Scott Jagow had an opportunity to go to the game, and he refused to, being a Buffalo Sabres fan. He wanted to watch the Bills play instead. So let's get a current state of the state when it comes to the Blues.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall they're continuing to play better hockey under Jim Montgomery than they did under Drew Bannister. Have there been some? I mean, they've lost 4 of their last 6. They've lost 4, 5, 6, 7 of their last 10. So there have been some issues there. You know, it was this kind of special teams units that really did them in yesterday, and they're still a team that has not gone to where they want to be from a power play perspective. I think we're still trying to figure out who the schedule has been really weird since Montgomery took over. There just hasn't been a whole lot of time at home. They finally got that a little bit during the holiday break, but now they're gearing up for the Winter Classic, which is going to be coming up tomorrow at Wrigley Field in Chicago. So I don't know, the state of the Blues is they're in better shape than they were under Drew Bannister, but this is still a team that is very flawed.
And it was a rough loss the last game, and so I don't know if, like you said, they continue to be very flawed. They had the new coach bump. I think now's about the time that it starts to level out a bit.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's going on is, and this is what I don't totally have a handle on, when you're a head coach, you put kind of your system and you try to start developing who you're going to be as a team during training camp, and then that sort of develops during the first little part of the season. Well, they didn't have training camp, so under Montgomery, obviously, that's what I'm trying to say. So he comes in and he's trying to put his system in and do small tweaks all along. I don't know how long it actually takes for them to kind of be the team that he wants them to be, but I would suspect he would say that they're not there yet.
So you mentioned the Winter Classic. Again, the Blues are getting an opportunity to play in that. This one at Wrigley Field. It will be tomorrow afternoon. So going into it, does it still have the novelty it used to, the intrigue that the Winter Classic has, or is it just because the Blues are in it, it is more intriguing as opposed to it being the event itself?
Yeah, I don't think nationally it quite has the whatever you want to say as it did years ago. You know, they moved it this year to New Year's Eve with the idea that they would try to get, because they don't want to compete with New Year's Day bowl games. So they're going to this New Year's Eve slot now. That's what they've tried to. I believe this is the first year they've played in this slot, trying to put attention on it. Nobody pays attention nationally to the NHL until the playoffs. And even with this outdoor game going on, I mean, obviously we hear Blues stuff because we're in St. Louis, but I don't think nationally there's a whole lot of pomp and circumstance to it.
No, I mean, the NHL is always far, far behind in the 4 major sports as far as viewership. And 4:00 on New Year's Eve is weird.
It's just a weird time.
People are going to be getting ready for parties. I mean, I get it that you don't want to compete with bowl games at the same time. Is it really the same audience? Hockey fans are going to watch the Winter Classic. And I could be completely wrong on this, Matt, like that. Oh, yeah, there are new viewers who would watch since it's not on during the bowl games. But I don't know. To me, it feels like hockey's hockey. It's a small but passionate fan base. It's always been on New Year's Day. The ratings are what they are. 4:00 on New Year's Eve doesn't seem like an improvement to me. It feels like an odd time. I don't know how many people are sitting down to watch a game at that time. And plus, the NHL has already done some other outdoor games throughout the years. I think they have a couple this year. So it's special to hockey fans. I don't know that you're going to get a ton of new eyeballs.
Yeah, is it just about not wanting to compete with the playoff games on the first? Because usually the game's on the first.
Yeah, that's what it is. They've seen ratings, and I honestly, Amy, I think you kind of made their point for them that the hockey fans are going to watch this almost no matter what. What can you do to try to draw in some of the non-hockey fans? And I think they've made the decision that they're just not going to get those people on New Year's Eve. So you kind of take for granted that hockey people are going to watch this no matter what. Are you going to get a few extra eyeballs when you put this game on New Year's Eve? And don't forget, I think part of the reason that they've got it so early, the first college football playoff game comes up tomorrow night. That's going to begin. Let's see. I assume it's like a 7:00 game. That
It's
Boise,
6:30. Yeah.
So
Boise State, Penn State.
And I bet that gets terrible ratings. Even with it being a college football playoff game, my prediction is Penn State, Boise State is going to be just a terribly for what it is. For a college football playoff game, it's going to get terrible ratings. But I assume that they're putting it on at 4:00 in part because they're trying for it to be late enough in the day that you can still grab some of the people who are doing stuff during the day, but early enough that you're not going head to head with the college football playoff.
And here's the thing. So the first Winter Classic game was in 2008, and they had a high viewership in 2011. 4.5 million people watched the game, which for hockey is a lot. The Winter Classic is annually, obviously, the most watched regular season game. Last year, 1.1 million, the lowest ever. Like they lost millions of viewers in the past 10 years.
So they're reacting to that. The other problem here is the game's not, I believe the game's on TNT. So in the past, I feel like this has been a game that's been on network television.
Fox.
It's, they don't have the NBC deal anymore. So I watch Blues games on TNT, like whenever they play. And to this day, I forget that they're on TNT and I go to where I'm going to go. I'm like, oh, they're not there. And then I have to, go to TNT. I cannot get it into my head that TNT is one of the places for NHL hockey.
Well, it is now. TNT, I think, does okay with sports. TNT, certainly they do great with basketball, and they've got a fantastic studio NBA show. That's great. But I think overall they do a pretty good job broadcasting sports, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I don't have a problem with. Then they've got some really good broadcasters on their payroll. When you think about the Ernie Johnsons and the Brian Andersons of the world, like I think Brian Anderson, from a national baseball standpoint, now that Joe Buck is not doing national baseball, Brian Anderson to me is the best national baseball play-by-play guy out there.
Oh, he's really good. Yeah.
Quick note for Blues fans: Darren Pang will be part of the broadcast team for the Winter Classic, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, he spent Christmas here in St. Louis, spent 14 years with the Blues. And I didn't even ask you guys, Ron, we haven't talked about it yet, but Greg Gumbel passing away over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That happened when I was on the air with Bernie on Friday when we were filling in for DGS. And that was kind of a gut punch. He's one of the, the really good broadcasters are the ones that you feel like they're your pal. And there was something about Gumbel that he came right through the TV screen and you felt like you knew him. And there was something comforting about him being behind the desk for Selection Sunday each year for college basketball. And you think about the versatility that he had, both as a play-by-play guy and also a studio host guy, had done just about every sport out there. And you can't, like, I know when somebody passes away, everybody is jumping to say nice things about them, but literally nobody has ever said a bad word about Greg Gumbel. This is somebody who has been just universally beloved from the moment he joined the industry.
And I had forgotten that he was dealing with cancer. I had completely forgotten
that was never announced. So last year,
I thought that I had heard that he was sick.
No, so last year, what happened was he missed the college basketball tournament and they said he was dealing with a family health issue. They never said it was his.
Okay. That's what it was.
Yeah.
All right, Matt Pauley, appreciate it. Thank you so much. We've got Sports Open Line with Joe Pott. You're off. Joe
Yeah,
Pott tonight.
Today's a vacation day for me, and I'm on with you guys. That's
What a guy.
What a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what you get for sending me memes making fun of the Bears. This is what you get.
I like talking to you guys.
That's right. You do, pal.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yo, Paulie, your sister's with me. I'll call you back later. See ya.
That's Matt Pauley, typically host of Sports Open Line. Tonight, it is Joe Pott, and it gets started at 6 o'clock here on KMOX. When we come back, Chief White House Domestic Policy Advisor to former President Jimmy Carter, who passed away this weekend, Stuart Eisenstadt, joins us next on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res. So week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, decade in, decade out, Zero Res has been with me and you. They are fantastic at what they do. Their bread and butter is cleaning wall-to-wall carpeting, but they can also do area rugs. They can do any flooring surface. They can do upholstery like your favorite couch or chair that you sit in all the time, but it's gotten a little threadbare, a little worse for wear. If you're not ready for the holidays yet, let us help you get ready. 314-474-2020. You can also book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Just mention me and get that great Zero Res customer service with the 30-day Gotta Love It guarantee. It means if we come out to your house and we do our level best and you are underwhelmed, you just give us a call and we will come out and we will make sure that you are overwhelmed. 314-474-2020. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com. $129 for 3 rooms of carpeting, $75 off your air duct cleaning. Spell it forwards or backwards, it spells the same. Zero Res.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Discover the only true luxury Genesis experience at the first and only standalone Genesis dealership in Missouri. Genesis of St. Charles. True luxury isn't just built, it's engineered with precision and passion. When it comes to unparalleled service and luxury, accept no substitutes. Genesis of St. Charles is ranked in the top 10% of all dealers in the country. Treat yourself to the exclusive Genesis experience because true luxury deserves its own stage. See for yourself. Visit Genesis of St. Charles today, based on GMA sales records.
When can you retire? When should you tap your 401k? Will you have enough money to live on? We all have retirement questions that stress us out, but Steve All can help answer those questions and more so that you'll feel confident about the next phase of your life.
My job is to sit down with people and actually figure out what their wishes, hopes, and dreams are. It's about a standard of living, not an amount of money. It's how they want to live in retirement.
Join Steve every Saturday morning at 10 for the All Financial Hour right here on KMOX.
I'm Tom Ackerman. This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Wouldn't it be nice if the United States of America could be a superpower in maintaining peace and to be a champion of human rights? If we helped one person have a new friend, that's what I think would make America a better country.
That's the voice of former President Jimmy Carter, who passed away over the weekend at the age of 100. It is the Chris and Amy show, and we go to the Quiver River Electric guest line again this morning. The Chief White House Domestic Policy Advisor to President Carter, Carter's biographer, currently senior counsel in Covington and Burling LLP's international practice. To talk with us about Carter's presidency, Stuart Eisenstadt is with us on KMOX. Stuart, we appreciate your time today. How are you?
I'm fine. And just on a personal note, growing up in Atlanta, I used to listen to KMOX at night to get the St. Louis Hawks basketball games when Bob Pettit and Clyde Lovellette were playing. So it's nice to be back on KMOX.
That's incredible. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I thank you for your time this morning because I know you've been busy sharing your memories with former President Jimmy Carter, and I'll start with that. What is his greatest legacy in your mind?
I think his greatest legacy is that he strived and achieved peace in so many areas, both in the White House and afterward. He took all the things he had been trying to do in the White House, human rights, which he applied to Latin America and got thousands of political prisoners out of jail, and laid the groundwork for Latin America going from dictatorships to democracies. He did the same with championing Soviet jury immigration in the Soviet Union. Camp David was the greatest diplomatic achievement of any president in history, bringing peace between Egypt and Israel, which had fought 4 wars together. And if I may take a very quick anecdote, he drafted over 13 days and nights. He personally, not his aides, he personally drafted 22 peace agreements and shuttled them between Prime Minister Begin and President Sadat. The 13th and last day comes. Begin comes to Carter's cabinet and says, Mr. President, I know we've tried hard. I cannot and will not make any more compromises. Please get me a limousine to take me to Andrews Air Force Base. I've got an Al Al plane waiting to go back to Israel. And the president realizes that this would undercut Sadat's whole historic trip to Israel and would leave egg on his own face. Because of his attention to detail, he knew that Begin had a soft spot for his 8 grandchildren. So he gets his personal secretary, Susan Cloud, to make 8 copies of the original photograph of the 3 leaders on the first day when they came to Camp David, and then inscribes each one individually to the named grandchild, walks it over to Begin's cabin, and he inscribed to Jimmy Carter with hopes for peace. He hands it to Begin. Begin reads aloud in front of Carter the name of each grandchild, and he sees his eyes tear, his lips quiver, and he says, Mr. President, for my grandchildren, I'll make one last try. And that's what got us over the top. That is an incredible legacy.
Wow.
It's lasted to this day. We have this fighting in Gaza. Israel and Egypt still have close diplomatic relations and share intelligence against terrorists.
What do you think we get wrong about his presidency?
I think that there are 2 reasons we get it wrong. The first is, ironically, that his post-presidency lasted so long and was so successful, monitoring 100 elections, solving and curing 2 African diseases, river blindness and guinea worm, building 4,000 homes with Rosalind for Habitat for Humanity. The second is, we don't forgive someone who loses a re-election. And he lost that re-election for 3 reasons which overwhelmed so much of what he has done. So much of what, to my mind, makes him the most impactful one-term president. And I call it the 3 I's. Inter-party Democratic warfare, when Ted Kennedy ran against him and didn't reconcile after the convention, splitting the party. Second was inflation, which he inherited from Ford and Carter. Ford and Nixon. It got worse. But in part, it got worse because of the Iranian Revolution, which shut down 5 million barrels of oil per day. Oil prices, through no fault of his own, went up 2 times. We had gas lines and so forth. And third is the Iranian hostage crisis, which was so debilitating for 444 days. He made a fatal decision not to use military force initially. He did do the rescue mission, but not to bomb Iran because he wanted to save the lives of the hostages. And he did. After the election, every single hostage came out without one hair on their head harmed. Now, on the inflation, this is another courageous act that says so much about him. Inflation is roaring for the reasons I've mentioned. It's July 1979, 1980 election is coming around the corner. He decides, over the objection of all of his advisors, to appoint Paul Volcker to head the Federal Reserve. Volcker told him clearly, if you appoint me, Mr. President, I'm going to choke inflation out of the system. through high interest rates, and it's going to hurt the economy in the short run. And it's going to hurt your reelection. And he said, Paul, I don't want my legacy to be high inflation. You do what you need to do economically. Let me take care of the politics. Well, in fact, it worked. Inflation dropped like a rock after the election, 2 years into Reagan's presidency. So he planted so many seeds, like airline deregulation, which brought air travel to the middle class, deregulation of trucks and railroads, telecommunications, which created the whole telecommunications revolution, the cable revolution. And here's a Southerner from the deepest part of the South. He grew up in a highly segregated society. He appoints more African Americans, more women, and more Hispanics to judgeships and senior positions in his administration than all 38 presidents put together. There were 8 women on the federal bench when he came into office. There were 40 when he left, including Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah, and you mentioned the deregulation of telecommunications and trains and transportation and airlines. He also, while I think at the beginning of his presidency maybe was a bit softer when it came to the Soviet Union, he really boosted NATO alliances and strength in Europe even towards the end of his term.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because what happened was he saw through the experience of his office how the Soviets were supporting Cuban troops in Africa, how they were building their own military up, and then on Christmas Day 1979, invading Afghanistan. So here's what he did. He increased defense spending 5%. All the weapon systems that Ronald Reagan is touted for implementing, and he deserves all the credit for doing it. Every single one, the MX missile, the cruise missile, the stealth bomber, intermediate nuclear weapons in Europe, Jimmy Carter started every single one of them.
Why do you think, if you mentioned so many of those accomplishments, why do you think he is remembered so much for failure?
I think, again, it's 2 reasons. One, that his post-presidency lasted literally 10 times longer than his presidency, and it was so successful, it eclipsed his presidency. And second, we have no tolerance for people who lose re-election in a second term. What people remember is the hostage crisis, and they remember inflation. They remember the gas lines. And that overwhelmed all the accomplishments that came both domestically and in foreign policy.
There was that story in the New York Times early last year that the incoming, or it was the campaigning Reagan administration, and it was prior to the election, had sort of undercut anything that Carter was trying to do in getting those hostages back.
This is a very important story.
Is that it? I mean, how much do you know about that?
I know a lot about it. It's now been quite conclusively proven by one scholar after another that at the time we were negotiating to get these hostages out, that Bill Casey, who was the manager of Ronald Reagan's campaign, perhaps without Reagan's knowledge, I don't know, he went to either Mexico or to Madrid, and he met with Iranians and said, you will get a better deal from us if you don't release the hostages. And that led to the arms for hostage deal, the whole Nicaragua situation. So I believe that they convinced the Iranians not to release the hostages in the midst of the campaign and to wait till they came in. Now, again, can I prove it in a court of law? There are a lot of people who say so. I don't want to make that an absolute thing. I can only tell you that, including conservative writers, they have found this to be the case.
Stuart Eizenstat, we really do appreciate you giving us time today. We know it has been a busy time, and a lot of people are seeking your attention today. So thank you for carving out a little bit of it to talk with us.
And thank you for the memory of KMOX.
Thank you, Stuart. That is Stuart Eizenstat, again, Chief White House Domestic Policy Advisor to former President Jimmy Carter, who's passed away at the age of 100. It is the Chris and Amy Show. Hour 3 starts next.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
You know, as they say, one person's personal information is another person's treasure.
Exactly. That's why I use NordVPN every time I surf the web. Features like Threat Protection Pro's safeguard devices from phishing websites and disable intrusive ads and trackers. Just check NordVPN.com, grab the deal, and see for yourself. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will. How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
KMOX, KEZK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-355-8662. 636-355-8662 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-355-8662.
It is 12 noon in mid-America. This news update is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. It's a cloudy sky, 49 degrees, feels like 41 downtown at the Arch. A state funeral is scheduled for January 9th for former President Jimmy Carter.
President Joe Biden has declared January 9th as a national day of mourning, and U.S. flags on Sunday were ordered to fly at half-staff for 30 days following the death of former President Jimmy Carter at age 100. January 9th will also be Carter's state funeral in Washington, D.C. The 39th President of the United States spent roughly 22 months in hospice care at his home in Plains, Georgia, where wife Rosalind Carter also died in November 2023 at age 96. Donna Warder, Washington.
The late president appeared on KMOX's Charlie Brennan show in 2009 to talk about his book.
Do you blame Palestinians at all for electing Hamas in January of 2006, a terrorist organization which has not renounced violence, which has President Carter not recognized the state of Israel?
Well, in the first place, the Hamas leaders were not branded as terrorists before the election came along. The election was fully approved by the United States of America and also reluctantly by Israel and Fatah.
The president-elect endorses the current Speaker of the House.
Donald Trump is making it known to Congress he supports the current House Speaker, Mike Johnson.
President-elect Donald Trump posted on social media that Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, is a hardworking religious man and will, quote, do the right thing, adding, we will continue to win. Johnson's leadership seemed in jeopardy earlier this month after a fight to fund the government and head off a shutdown. Johnson has been a loyal Trump supporter. Last month, he said,
we believe we could be the most consequential Congress of the modern era, and he the most consequential president, because we quite literally have to fix almost every metric of public policy.
Trump has been quiet about Johnson's fate. Some Republicans have signaled they'll try to vote the House Speaker out. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Deadly weekend tornadoes and a possible New Year's Eve washout for some.
Forecasters are predicting rain for the big New Year's Eve celebration in Times Square, as well as much of the Northeast. National Weather Service meteorologist Scott Kleebauer.
Dress for potential rainfall if you're going to be out and about during any of those time frames. And that pretty much extends from the DC-Baltimore area all the way up into Boston.
Meanwhile, weekend tornadoes and other deadly weather killed at least 4 people in Texas, Mississippi, and North Carolina, where Trooper DJ Mafucci says a tree fell on a pickup truck, killing a 70-year-old man.
And the tree just was blown over.
The National Weather Service says between Thursday and Sunday, there were reports of at least 63 tornadoes, with confirmations of several by survey teams. Meteorologist Peter Mullinax says it's no longer unusual in December.
Severe weather is year-round now.
I'm Julie Walker.
The KMOX Business Desk, the discount chain Big Lots, has reached a deal that will keep hundreds of stores open. Big Lots will be sold to Gordon Brothers Retail Partners, which specializes in distressed companies. Gordon Brothers will then transfer Big Lots stores to other retailers. The Dow from Stifel down 307 points to 42,685.
Clouds hanging on this afternoon. We'll have a shower or two late in the day. Still mild, though, high 55. Turning breezy with some rain and drizzle, low 40 tonight. This is AccuWeather meteorologist Heather Zare on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. We've got 48 in St. Peter's and Florissant. It's 49. Feels like 41 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Right now, the Fix-It-Right guys at Jerry Kelly will come tune up and inspect your furnace for just $98. It's normally $143, and that's very little money for a whole lot of peace of mind. Check it out now at
JerryKelly.com. Today's Chris and Amy Show is brought to you by Snooze Less Alarm Company, because 2025 is your year to wake up earlier.
Ah, yes.
Well, there was a time.
Chris,
From North Carolina. Oh, dude.
Chris Ranji, Amy Mark Scores with you. Only a couple more days left in 2024. And the Athletic Ranj, I don't know if you saw this.
Not the Athletic Ranj. The Athletic, Ranj. There you go.
No one has seen the Athletic Ranj.
I used to have a glove.
You're coughing.
I'm dying.
Smoking cigarettes over
God.
there. The Athletic, Ranj conducted a poll among 40 executives and coaches in each of the 4 major leagues, MLB, NBA, NFL, and NHL. And they asked these executives to rank the top 5 front offices in their respective leagues. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's a point system here. The first place vote got 10 points. A second place vote was worth 7. Third place, 5. Fourth place, 3. Fifth place, 1. So then they took all of these rankings for all 4 leagues and put them together to rank the top 5 front offices in the 4 major sports combined.
Okay.
So the executives were asked about their respective leagues. We can just jump right in. Who do you think? You can say who you think number 1 is, or who you think is in the top 5.
So of all the sports, and we're all of them ranked together. So
yeah,
not like by
confusing.
league. Okay.
Right. So 40 executives and coaches in MLB, 40 executive coaches in NHL, and so forth. They each ranked according to this point system within their own leagues, but then the points were thrown together.
So what they consider to be what these executives, we're talking executives and not players, because that would be probably a different outcome. Okay,
Here's how the Athletic put it. Quote, this isn't a scientific comparison of these front offices, but rather a ranking of which ones are viewed as the best by their direct competitors.
See, well, this is what's in my head.
Okay.
If you remember from, I believe it was last year, where they did this, a similar thing with the NFL, and they asked players what they think of the organization, and the Chiefs were like 31 or 32. They were ranked near the bottom, which is stunning.
That was
because
players?
It was players because of the amount of success they've had.
And
But
winning generally covers a multitude
You
of
would
things.
think.
Yeah.
But I would get, or maybe it was ownership. It was something about ownership or the organization, whatever. But my guess would be that the Chiefs are viewed more favorably amongst GMs and other executives around sports because of the amount of success they've had, because of the Super Bowls, the fact they're on the verge of a potential three-peat here. That would be my guess. I don't think they're going to be number one, but I would guess they're top 5 right now. I would think the Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays, are probably up there just because they historically have done very well with very little payroll. They've maximized everything. They're always competitive. They don't win a World Series, but they're always competitive without paying for high-priced free agents. I would think the Ravens and or the Steelers are up there.
Okay.
Just because there's always consistency with those teams. But I don't know who the number one team would be. This is a really great question. But I would think those organizations would be there. What's interesting, what's further interesting is I think if this were 20 years ago, the Cardinals would definitely be in the top 10, if not top 5. But they're not there right now because they haven't had the same success that they used to. You remember, they were viewed as the model for baseball teams, that you didn't have to spend crazy amounts of money to win. You could still put together a really good product and a team that is competitive. They win World Series. They go to World Series. So I would say that, 15 years ago, we're talking about the Cardinals, but I bet they're not there now.
All right. So let's do this. Let's start with the top 5. Then I'll tell you where the St. Louis teams are ranked. But you said the Chiefs, the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Rays. Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, Rays.
Yeah, I put the Rays in there. I bet the Colorado Avalanche are up there too.
Okay. So you were spot on with the top 5, including the Tampa Bay Rays and the Baltimore Ravens. So the Baltimore Ravens came in 3rd place.
Oh, wow. 3rd overall. Okay.
3rd overall. This is all 4 leagues.
Yeah.
And the Tampa Bay Rays were 4th overall.
That makes sense.
Pretty darn good. The surprise is the Steelers. They were 37th
Really?
overall, tied for 37th.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
The
All right.
Chiefs, number 8.
Okay.
So can you guess who 1 and 2 are?
Give me what is number 1? What league?
NBA.
In the NBA, number 1 overall, maybe Celtics?
Want me to just tell you?
Yeah.
Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah, was ranked number 1 of all 4 leagues. It had 29 first place votes. And
What's the rationale there? Does it give you an idea of what executives say about them?
it says that part of it is the draft and the way they're able to run the organization. At the same time, do you think they put so much? Does it matter that it's a single sport city, that all of that attention is on them, or not really?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Were the Packers up there?
It said the Oklahoma City Thunder have amassed a collection of draft picks that is unrivaled in the NBA.
And that's the kind of thing that executives would be really interested in because they love draft capital.
So one
They love to
assistant
talk about
GM
that.
said, OKC, they're so well positioned, blanking blank for the next 5 years.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They said they have been able to build assets, build a collection of talent, and just make an incredibly competitive organization. Okay. Number two,
Number 2 in this what league?
baseball. Major
Number
League
2
Baseball.
in baseball. Okay. I probably should look at the.
And if
gosh,
you
what
want a
would it
hint, I
be?
can give you a hint.
Yeah, give me a hint.
It doesn't necessarily having a big budget does not exclude you from this list.
Well, first of all, I can't believe there's a team in front of the Rays. Is it the Braves? The Braves spend a lot of money.
So
though.
that was my guess. It was not the Braves. You ready?
Yeah.
The Dodgers.
Oh, well,
Because
yeah, okay.
it said
Yeah.
just because they've got the money, and they said you shouldn't fault executives for being able to spend money.
And I agree with that because they are capable of spending money. They do it. They commit to it, but they also do the other things really well.
Yeah, he said the farm
The farm system's great. They draft well. They develop. That's a good organization, top to bottom.
Yeah, and
that's a great point. Yeah.
That is one executive described the first place vote for the Dodgers as, quote, self-explanatory. They are elite at everything. He said the roster is well managed. The farm system churns out prospects. And yeah, they have a lot of money. But what another executive said is one of the things they do so well is knowing which stars to sign.
Yep.
They said you can't fault them for having money, and they spend it well.
See, and I go into this, the exercise, I went into it thinking, okay, well, the teams that are going to be viewed the highest are the ones that don't necessarily have to spend a ton, but they do things from the ground up, which is, I would think most teams, owners certainly would love to pay as little as they could for payroll, right?
Yeah.
So you would think that that's how they would see it. I agree with that executive. You cannot fault a team that has money and is willing to spend it. We talk about this all the time. I love it. I love when teams like the Yankees spend a lot of money, and I love when the Dodgers do it because let me give you I go to this example a lot. The Dodgers go to the World Series. I think it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And instead of what a lot of teams would do is they would say, hey, we went to the World Series. We're going to bring back most of the same guys. We're in great shape. The Dodgers do that, and they go get Mookie Betts. They go get one of the top 3 or 4 players in the game after going to a World Series. And yeah, they have the resources, but they said, we're good. We're going to do everything we can to get even better. We already went to a World Series. We're going to get even better for next year. I love when teams do that because most owners would want to rest a little bit and say, yeah, we don't need to commit all of this money. Look, we're a World Series team as it is. I mean, why do we need to get better? Well, they did it. I love it. And I think every team should do that as best they can.
Is it fair to say that, like we said, they're elite on all levels. They know where to spend their money. And there are teams that don't always spend the money wisely, like the Boston Red Sox have spent money poorly before.
Oh, yeah. The Yankees have done it too. Historically, the Texas Rangers have spent some bad money, but they gave it a shot. I would rather teams try than not try.
So we have the Oklahoma City Thunder 1, Los Angeles Dodgers 2. You guessed 3 and 4. The Baltimore Ravens are 3, 4. The Tampa Bay Rays. Number 5, you want to guess? And I'll give you a hint.
Yeah.
Because you'll never guess that it's actually in the NHL.
It's in the NHL.
It's in the NHL.
So I'm guessing it's not the Blues.
Not the Blues.
I said Avalanche earlier. It's not them.
Mm-mm.
Wonder where they are.
I'll let you know. It is the Dallas Stars. The Stars have been to the Western Conference Final 3 of the past 5 years. They lost the 2020 Stanley Cup Final. They're not a dynasty, but what they're able to do with homegrown talent and be competitive, the general manager, Jim Nill, does a great job. So that would be the top 5. How about when we come back, I'll give you some other interesting placements as well as where the Cardinals and Blues landed.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. And I could tell you who's dead last. It's Chris and Amy on KMOX.
Hey folks, this is Charlie Brennan. Have you noticed loose bricks or missing mortar around your house on the walls, patios, walkways, porch, or chimneys? If so, this might be a great time to call Morelli Tuck Pointing. What's tuck pointing? It's the removal of old mortar and the replacement of new mortar on a wall or chimney. Sometimes that mortar can become loose, missing, or deeply eroded. We've used the Morelli team to tuck point the Brennan home several times, and in fact, this winter, we noticed the bricks that line the ground near our porch in the backyard had gotten out of line and looked pretty cattywampus. One call, Morelli tuck pointing, the job was done. Morelli's the company that's won the Angie's List Super Service Award every year, back to back to back, since 2005. Check out their reviews on the Google, Angie's List, and Better Business Bureau websites. The Masonry Specialists, 314-645-1387, MorelliTuckPointing.com.
In the U.S., there are about 60 million adults 65 and older. And last year, nearly 1 million of them were hospitalized due to flu, COVID, or RSV. That's nearly 1 million people who plan to go visit family or see friends, but ended up in the hospital instead. So get this season's vaccines and don't let flu, COVID, or RSV make you just another number.
Risk less, do more. Get started at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that Creve Coeur Camera is still around? Well, they are, and now they're the Photo Pros. They have one store in St. Louis County. The Photo Pros will help you pick out the best camera for your needs this holiday. And the Photo Pros provide you with the finest in photo finishing, photography classes, and anything photographic from lenses to tripods. Just Google the Photo Pros in St. Louis or call 314-567-3456 and preserve your history for years to come.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and senior vice president of men's sexual health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit.
Breaking news, entertaining conversation, and live sports. This is KMOX.
All right, I was going through the list here from The Athletic, a ranking of the top front offices in all four major sports, MLB, NFL, NHL, NBA. This is as ranked by 40 executives and coaches in each of their respective leagues, and then they put the rankings all together. OKC, Oklahoma City Thunder, number 1. Dodgers,
Didn't see
number
that coming.
2. Baltimore Ravens, number 3.
Rays are up there.
Tampa Bay Rays, number 4. And the Dallas Stars, number 5. Where do you think your St. Louis Blues ranked?
Out of how many? What would total?
70.
Out of 70 teams? Are they on the 70?
They are.
Okay. Because there are more than 70 pro teams. My guess is they came in probably in the 60s.
No, better than that. They were tied for 44th with the
dude.
Houston Rockets and the Indiana Pacers.
Oh, that's not bad.
Where do you think your St. Louis Cardinals came in?
50s.
They did not make the cut.
They didn't make the cut.
No. And that would have been different 10 years ago. 10 years ago, they would have been there.
10 to 15, they'd have been top 10.
Yeah.
Easy.
They did not make the top 70.
Wow. Okay.
The Bears made the top 70.
What? I thought the Bears would have been dead last. They are so bad. They are the worst team in professional sports, the worst organization.
So the 70th spot was all a tie for the 70s. Do you want to hear? And they were all tied with 1 point, which means one executive voted them 5th best in their
it was
league.
somebody with the Bears.
It probably was.
What's the best organization? Us.
Here are the teams they were tied with. The Chicago Bears ranked 70th with 1 point, which means one executive in their league said they were the 5th best team. New York Mets, New Orleans Saints, Cincinnati Reds, Toronto Maple Leafs, Washington Wizards, Arizona Cardinals, Miami Dolphins, and the LA Clippers.
Okay.
How are the Bears on there and not the Cardinals?
When was this done? At the beginning of the I'll tell you what happened. At the beginning of the
Probably
year,
4 games into it.
at the beginning of the year when they probably started putting this together.
So it was
there were
the start. You nailed it, Ranj. It's the start of each respective season this year.
Well, everybody was talking about them,
Yeah.
that they have drafted this number 1 overall generational quarterback talent, and they have put him in maybe the best situation a rookie quarterback has ever come into, because they weren't all that bad the year before. Usually a team is dead last, like 2 wins or 3 wins or whatever, when they get to draft a quarterback like that, the number 1 overall pick, but they got it in a trade. So therefore they weren't terrible last year. So people were saying they gave him weapons, they gave him offense, but they overlooked the line and how terrible the offensive line and how terrible the coaching is and was, and we knew it. So it's probably early season, like, oh, wow, this is going to be a perfect situation for them, and we know what's happening.
And it was at the beginning of each of the league's respective
That's why.
respective seasons. Okay, rounding out the top 10, number 6 was the Boston Celtics. Number 7, you think you might have said this too, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay.
I did not say the Lightning, no.
Okay, so the Tampa Bay Rays and the Tampa Bay Lightning, both in top 10, which is pretty darn impressive.
Yeah.
John Cooper, their head coach, he's incredible. Obviously, they won the Stanley Cup in 2020. That was when Pat Maroon played as well. Kansas City Chiefs, number 8.
Oh, there you go.
Number 9, Florida Panthers.
Oh,
Yep,
interesting.
number 9, Florida Panthers. They are head coach Paul Maurice. He's one of my favorite coaches in the NHL. Probably Paul Maurice and Craig Berube are my 2 favorite NHL coaches, although Jim Montgomery's awesome. Number 10, San Francisco 49ers.
That makes sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have any interest in 11 through 20, Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
Atlanta Braves 12.
There you go.
Vegas Golden Knights 13. Miami Heat 14. Cleveland Guardians 15.
I'm a little surprised the Warriors weren't up there. I feel like Golden State's put together a pretty good organization. That's interesting, though. I like lists like this. I'm really curious. I'm always curious to know what executives privately think. Well, because they're not going to tell you. They're not going to put their names to it, but you can get a nice aggregate of what they think.
Golden State Warriors tied for 32nd with the Carolina Hurricanes.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, Eagles and Braves, I thought the Braves would be pretty high up there.
When you put this up against what the Cardinals and Blues are right now, I mean, they're average teams, in the landscape of sports. Both teams are just kind of average. And it's, we're not that far removed from a Stanley Cup, and we're really not that far removed if you think about it. I guess it's been over a decade now, but from a World Series. So most teams don't get the chance to go to a World Series, but it feels like, at least from the perspective, the national perspective, that the pedestal the Cardinals have been on for decades is kind of gone for them.
Well,
That same luster isn't there anymore. And the evidence of that is how much people talk about the farm system and the foundational level and the stuff they used to do really well, where they were out in front of all the other teams and doing it. They have been bypassed by a lot of teams in baseball.
And remember, this was at the start of the season, so maybe fans, the public, was late to the game, but this was before the whole Katie Wu breaking story about how far behind the Cardinals were in their farm system. So maybe these executives saw that or knew it, or maybe they had already just seen enough that even before the Athletic story came out about how far behind the Cardinals farm system is. I will say, like, certain votes, we know how I said all the teams tied for 70th with the Chicago Bears. They had 1 point. And that's because one person said they were in 5th place. One executive described his 5th place vote for the New York Mets as, quote, purely a vote of confidence in David Stearns.
Oh, that makes sense.
So that's why sometimes somebody would get 1 vote.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. A text message here, and we'd like to hear from you too. at 314-436-7900, or drop us a voice message straight from the Odyssey app if you're listening to the show live there. This text says, not every team has the money the Dodgers have. MLB needs a salary cap because teams like the Dodgers are killing competition and the game. I could not disagree with that anymore. The baseball does not need a salary cap. And if you believe they do, and if you believe the sport is being killed, it is not because teams are spending money. If anything, the thing that hurts baseball is teams that don't spend money. Teams like the Oakland A's, who have refused to contribute any money, even though they get revenue sharing money. And if you go back and look at the World Series participants over the last several years, yeah, you got big market teams like the Dodgers and Yankees, but last year it was the Rangers and Diamondbacks. You know, you had the Rays in the World Series just 4 years ago. Look, a lot of big Cleveland was in 2016. It's not exclusive to the big market teams with money. And I'll give you another bit of reality. Most teams can spend money if they want to. They just choose not to. That's Amy Marks Coors. I'm Chris Ranji. The show continues. We want to hear from you. As I mentioned, leave us a message on the Odyssey app. This is KMOX.
Reel in the big one at the best fishing expo in the Midwest, the Let's Go Fishing Show, on January 3rd through 5th at Gateway Convention Center in Collinsville. Visit vendors with the latest fishing boats, rods, reels, tackle, accessories, resorts, and guided services. Shop unique, one-of-a-kind items, and top-of-the-line marine electronics at discount prices. Attend free seminars. Meet Pro Anglers Bassmaster Elite Series pros Brandon Palaniuk, Steve Kennedy, and more. Free fishing pond. Win prizes from Wholesale Batteries, Canoe Canada, and Tri-State Trolling Motors. Visit letsgoshows.com for coupons and more info.
This year has flown by, and now you're planning to sell your home. Like you, most families have been waiting on the sidelines. Now the timing is better, but maybe you still have questions, right? This is Debbie Monterey for Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I've been telling you about Gloria Lou for years now because Gloria Lou is St. Louis's real estate expert. And if you have a home to sell, you need to get to know Gloria like I have. I've seen her systems, her guarantees. I've even met some of her clients. Gloria is different than any other realtor. If you need help selling for the most money, you need to call Gloria Lou. Here's another tip. If you have a home to sell in Crestwood, Shaw, Maplewood, or the Central West End, you absolutely must call Gloria Lou. Take it from me, Debbie Monterey, and call Gloria Lou at 314-325-6888. 314-325-6888. Online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Winter Wonderland, presented by St. Louis County Parks and Byerly RV at Tillis Park, is open now through December 30th. Enjoy more than 1 million dazzling lights with holiday characters and festive scenes while listening to your favorite Christmas songs. Whether you're carrying on a family tradition or starting a new one, you'll never see anything like Winter Wonderland at Tillis Park. More at KMOX.com. Happy holidays from Quality Waterproofing, Wash U Orthopedics, Rawlings Sporting Goods, Telly Tire, and Together Credit Union.
At 12:30, we've got clouds and 47 degrees downtown at the Arch. Former U.S. President Jimmy Carter has died. He was 100 years old and had spent roughly 22 months in hospice care. CBS's Mark Strassman is in Carter's hometown of Plains, Georgia.
Carter's son Chip said in a statement in part, "My father was a hero, not only to me, but to everyone who believes in peace, human rights, and unselfish love. The world is our family because of the way he brought people together." After public observances in Atlanta and Washington, D.C., a private burial will follow in Plains. Carter once said, "Plains is where our hearts have always been."
Jimmy Carter was 100. Road work on 6440 going east at 141, the left exit and the left shoulder closed. This afternoon, cloudy and mild. A shower or two later today, high 55. For tonight, cloudy, breezy, occasional rain and drizzle, low about 40. And rain ends in the morning, New Year's Eve, with the high temperature 45. About midnight should be 34. Sponsored by the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company, PennMutual.com/STL. Are you considering life insurance? Penn Mutual's accelerated client experience makes applying for life insurance fast and easy. Ask your independent advisor or go to PennMutual.com/STL. Clouds 47 downtown. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX. We can get more sleep, we can get more sun, and we can get more exercise. But the one thing that we can't get more of is time. It's time to eliminate the one phrase that could be holding you back from reaching your retirement goals. I'll take care of it tomorrow. It's time to pick up the phone and make the call to Gary Goldberg and the team at Financial and Tax Strategies. 618-361-4232 or online at checkwithgary.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Centaurus Financial Inc., an SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Gary Goldberg, NPN number 918615.
It's men's Billikens basketball action tomorrow afternoon as they face Fordham. Pre-game 12:45. Tip at 1. Hear the game here on your home for Billikens basketball. KMOX.
Ranj, I have a question. I want to know what you would do. Went to a Mexican restaurant with my family a couple of nights ago. What is today? Monday? Must have been Saturday night. And it's busy. It's the holidays. Kids are in from college. Families in town. People go to restaurants. And you go at 6:30 at night. It's probably going to be crowded, right?
Sure.
Right. So we're there, and it is crowded. And, there's the servers who are running back and forth. The manager is very involved, running back and forth. And then the young girls at the front desk, like the hostesses, seating people. They look really young. They look like maybe they're just in from college too. It's crowded. Everyone's waiting. And there's this man at the bar.
Oh, this guy.
Pretty tall guy.
I already don't like him.
Probably like 6'6".
Oh.
Had like a beard. Like a
don't
short
hurt me.
beard, and like had a tackle and fishing shirt on or something.
Oh.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
So we're standing at the bar. My dad's like, hey, because I showed up later. He's like, do you want a drink while we wait? I said, certainly. So we walk up to the bar. Certainly. We walk up. I hate that. We walk up to the bar, and the tackle T-shirt guy is standing there. And my dad goes, oh, are you in line? He's like, yeah. And my dad goes, oh, okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure I didn't butt in front of you. He goes, well, everyone else has, so you may as well.
Whoa.
And my dad's like, oh, no, that's okay. So then the bartender comes over and says, can I help you? And the guy's like, yeah, we want to sit over there. She said, okay, well, you're going to have to talk to your server, the hostess for seating. I can't help you with that, but do you want a drink? He goes, no, I want to sit down. She's like, okay, you can talk to the hostess. And he was just kind of agitated. Then she talks to us. And like, do you want a drink? And we knew that we had, you had to talk to the hostess. So yeah, we knew we were just getting a drink. So we order our drink. Meanwhile, the tackle T-shirt guy is standing around the bar, and I can hear him pointing to his wife. They came in after us. See them? They're sitting down. They came in after us. See them? And he's getting mad. And I'm thinking, this guy needs to calm down. 2 minutes later, here's what I hear him say. We better get seated soon, or I'm going to get violent. And I look at him, and I want to say, you're such a loser. What do you mean you're going to get violent? These poor girls are working their tails off on a Saturday night trying to seat people. The bartenders trying to get people drinks. The staff of this restaurant bending over backwards to make sure everybody's getting what they need while they wait because they're busy because it's 6:30 on a Saturday night. And I looked at this guy and I thought, is he actually going to get violent? What's he going to do? Punch one of the little girls that's trying to seat everybody? Or is he and why would you say that out loud? And then there was like 1% of me that thought this guy actually could get violent. Like, who knows? But if you were that man and you're 6'6" and you were in that, and that's the only reason I bring up the fishing and tackle shirt, because I hope he's listening. Calm down.
Well, you've had a lot of complaints about people
My
that you hope are listening today. So you got the guy in the Porsche Cheyenne who
we have, if they are listening, we have the worst listeners.
Oh my!
If all these people is our fan base.
But we have it's an eclectic group of people who listen. But you're telling me the story, and all I can think is this man is probably the only 6'6" guy in the world who has not effectively been able to use his stature. Because when you're 6'6", people pay attention to you. You very rarely get overlooked.
Yeah.
People don't look past the guy who's 6'6". They go to you first. So if this man is getting overlooked, he's doing 6'6" wrong.
No, that's the thing. That's how I know he either wasn't very smart or he wasn't trying to be smart, because he said people were butting in line. We thought that meant for the drinks. Everybody knew that you're standing there. You're not waiting to be seated by the bartender.
Right.
You're waiting to get a drink. So when he said everyone else is butting in line, we thought, oh, wow, he hasn't been able to order a drink. But no, he had. He meant people were butting in line and like sitting down at tables in front of him, which is not the idea of butting in line. And he didn't order a drink from the bartender. And he said, I'm going to get violent at a Mexican restaurant where all these little kids, basically their children, are trying to seat people. It was so bizarre to me. And I really wanted to confront him.
He's hungry, man.
My dad's like, do not confront this guy.
What were you going to do?
Well, that's it. What was he going to do? Punch me?
He said he was going to get violent.
That's what I mean.
He would decimate you.
Do you know how dorky you have to be for a 6'6" man who, by the way, he wasn't gangly. He wasn't all skinny and woogly. He was a thick 6'6" guy.
He would have destroyed you in a fight.
And I almost wish he had, because that would have been so pathetic on his part.
And it would have been a great story for the show.
So much content.
Amy got the crap beat out of her by a 6'6" man
at a Mexican restaurant who said she, quote, butted in line.
Hey, sir, why don't you calm down? Why didn't you consider?
That's what I wanted to say. Calm down. Can't you see all of these hardworking young people?
He was hungry, man.
I'm going to get violent. Who talks like
When
that?
look, have you
Grow up.
You ever dated somebody who gets hangry?
No.
I have. And you better feed them.
Oh,
You
is that
better
the dog
feed
that
them.
would throw up?
That was Yes, I had a girlfriend who I lived with for a short period of time who had a dog, great dog,
Yeah.
Otis. And Otis, if you did not feed him by like 9 o'clock in the morning, he would puke. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know how that happens, but because there would be times where the dog was not my responsibility because it was her dog. But if she weren't there or whatever, and sometimes I think that she would forget to feed him when she'd leave the house. So it was up to me.
Yeah.
And then maybe I forgot. And it's like 9:30 and there's puke on the floor. I'm like, oh, forgot to feed Otis.
The only other person
I am starving.
The only other person I know who does that is my sister.
She pukes if she doesn't eat?
Yes, she throws
What
up
is
if
that?
she gets too
What?
so weird.
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. Technically, it would make you hungrier. Now you've got nothing in your stomach. No, my sister, who I shall not name, but it rhymes with Remley.
Hey, Remley.
And she throws up when she gets too hungry.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
I'm so hungry I could puke. What?
Yeah. So
Well-
we have to feed her. She's like trying to keep a little Tamagotchi alive. We're like, oh my gosh, here's Emily. Like, oh, we need to feed her. Oh, Remley. I mean,
It must be like a stomach acid thing, like a reflux or something that you get if you
and
haven't.
here's the thing. She's an artist. She's a night owl, musician, singer, painter, artist, right? I am not. I think in Microsoft Word. I have no vision. I'm just very regimented.
You're a word processor.
I'm a word processor. It's why I love the Swiss Germans. I like the trains to be on time. I think we should all use more self-restraint and dress in brown and go to bed early. That's who I am.
Mhm.
She's the artsy, fartsy person who stays up late. And here's what she does, which I would never do. She forgets to eat. How do you forget to eat?
I've never
She'll
forgotten
go,
to eat.
oh, I feel a little faint. Okay. Emily, are you going to throw up? Did you eat? Oh, I don't think I've eaten since Tuesday. Oh my gosh. How do you forget to eat? I've never once forgotten to eat. Matthew?
If you, I'm looking online here at healthline.com. If you don't eat for a long time, your stomach can produce hydrochloric acid, which will build up and lead to acid reflux and nausea.
See, I was right. But this text message says your sister should get checked out for diabetes. Please have her check with her doctor. Oh, now your sister's a diabetic.
Yeah, she's a diabetic. I told you about that high school play, right? That in high school there was this girl that their high school theater company was doing the play Rent.
Yeah.
But they didn't want them saying AIDS or talking about AIDS, so everybody had diabetes.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe you don't tackle rent then.
I almost want to have it just so I could say, so I could tell people I have diabetes.
I don't
Because
think you do.
I would pronounce it diabetes.
Yeah. Well, you can still pronounce it that way and say you don't
But
have it.
it's almost, I can't because I'm,
Privileged.
yeah,
You have
I'm
good-
privileged
you
right
have
now.
Privileged blood sugar levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far. Diabetes.
Well, it's not looking so good.
Yeah. You never know, man. But,
Well, maybe we'll get her checked out. But yeah, these artists, Matt, you're a music guy. Are you? I feel like you would never forget to eat.
No, there's a constant reminder. It's your stomach.
Yes.
Yes.
Feeling hungry. You can't
Yes.
forget.
yeah. And your stomach reminds me that you're hungry because I can hear it from over here.
And I will also remind you on top of that saying, I'm hungry and I'm dying for lunch right now.
I can tell you, I have never forgotten to eat. I could have the stomach flu. I could be in the worst breakup fight where you're both angry, but you're both eating a turkey sandwich in the middle of it because you got to eat. I've never been so stressed that I couldn't eat. I've never been so happy that I couldn't eat. No matter what happens, whether I am grieving or angry or tired or sick, I have always been able to eat.
I get stressed. If I'm stressed enough, I can't eat.
I've never had that.
Yeah.
And I've been super stressed. I am a stress ball. Look at me right now.
And you'd have a
so hungry.
snack. You're always
so
hungry. Another message says, this is hilarious. Amy's going to have a guy with a beard and a Porsche and a tall man angry outside the station. When we go to the parking lot, all three of them are going to be out there.
Yeah. And there was one other guy too, but I couldn't get a good look because they had dark tinted windows, but there was a BMW sedan, like a 7 Series that they don't make anymore. Cut me off so much that it was almost like a ghost. I could see the back of his car pass through the front of my car. I really think it was a Christmas miracle that we didn't crash. He dove across 6 lanes of traffic from the fast lane on 40 to exit to 270 south. Literally after that exit lane had already started. And I held my horn down for like 20 seconds. I was so mad at this guy. So mad.
Do you think the horn got the point across?
I hope so. Probably to the person in front of me who had nothing to do with it. But yeah, this 6'6" guy, calm down. Think about things. Think about your life. You're
was
going
hungry.
to get violent.
Well, you never know.
That's a horrible thing to say in public.
Well,
And I don't know if he thought he was. Does you think it makes you cool that like
he
you, a
wasn't thinking. He's just
6'6" man, is going to get violent? I'll show
You're
these
telling
little
me
20-year-old girls who's boss.
that you've never been
Okay.
at a restaurant waiting for a table and you feel like you're about to die because you haven't eaten and
Yeah, but
they're
it
just not
doesn't-
paying attention
My
to you.
go-to is always crying. I don't have
Well, he would probably say, why'd you cry? Get violent instead.
no, like I don't get anger. I don't understand how people just like my go-to is tears all the time. I've cried in Steve's office. I've cried here. I've cried at the airport. I've cried at the Blues game. Just when things go wrong, my eyeballs tear up.
Another message here says, did you tell the big guy that you worked at a radio station?
Oh my gosh, I know, but I told my
Do
dad.
you know who I am?
This is what I said to my dad. I go, I want
No,
to
I
confront this
don't.
guy. And my dad goes, do not confront him. I go, well, I'm going to talk about him on KMOX
Oh.
on Monday. And I did.
Amy pulled. She pulled it. It's sort of like a tacit. Do you know who I am? Do you know
Well,
me?
because like I didn't want to say I talked to a lawyer. Like, why would you preemptively
gosh.
talk to a lawyer? So I wasn't a do you know who
You
I
can say
am?
that.
It's no, because I don't want to say, hey, I talked to my lawyer. He said not to give you the phone. That's so suspicious. I want people to know why I talked to the lawyer. Like, hey, it's my job. I had to talk to him, and this is what he said. I'm so sorry that I know this, but I'm not going to give you my phone.
Feel free to weigh in on the Odyssey app. Leave us a message whenever you want. If you've got thoughts, we want to hear them. Amy Marks Kors, Chris Ranji, KMOX.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details. Trust and Will knows that we'll all eventually need a will.
How about right now? Trust and Will makes creating your will easy, like while you're lounging on the couch easy. Trust and Will is designed by attorneys but customized by you, and all documents are state-specific and secure. Find your plan at trustandwill.com and use offer code RADIO now for 10% off. That's trustandwill.com, offer code RADIO. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. Visit trustandwill.com for details.
Want to retire in 5 years or less? You can do it, just like Lifestyles Unlimited member Lisa.
So we started passively. It was on vacation is when we realized we really need to take the plunge and be more active in this. Just because I'm an educator, I wanted to really know what I was doing. So it was just education on my part is really big. And I'm like, well, I could do that.
Text the word radio to 88007. That's radio to 88007. Join for just $297, a 60% savings. Lifestyles Unlimited. Text radio to 88007.
It seems every political administration has a different idea about taxes. No matter where you stand politically, you should know about the new tax proposals from the Trump administration and how they could affect you and your retirement savings. The good news is Steve All and the All Financial Group are here to help. Join us for the upcoming educational seminar Thursday, January 23rd or Tuesday the 28th at Stone Summit. You'll learn about the proposed tax changes from the Trump administration, how these changes could affect your retirement and your income in the future. Again, that's January the 23rd or the 28th at Stone Summit. Reserve your spot by calling 636-230-8824 or go online to yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents nor representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
I'm Sean Malone. This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Another message to the text line at 314-436-7900. Amy totally was pulling a do you know who I am. But if it helps, you'd be crazy not to use it. I do agree with that to an extent. I agree that if you can use... So I used to
get out of giving a police officer my phone.
Sure.
Yes. I'm not trying to get into a crowded restaurant. I'm trying to prevent myself from caving in to a police officer and giving him my phone when I don't have to.
I watched a guy that I used to work for who was with a sports agency. We'd go to like a club or something, and there'd be a line,
like a country club or like a
like one of those. Yeah. And he would get his business card out because it said sports agent, whatever, and go to the front of the line, and you're like, hey, can you take care of us? And they'd 9 times out of 10 say, yeah, come right in, no cover. And so I borrowed that when I had a business card. I don't really have any business cards.
I don't have a business card.
And, back in my days, I would do that. It worked. I saved a lot of money, saved a lot of standing in line time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of friends who were really tall and big, and they used to just say they were the offensive lineman for the Tennessee Titans, and they got into any club they wanted.
Yeah, there you go.
You can't prove them wrong. Nobody knows.
No, you would be insane to have that in your back pocket and say, nah, I'd rather wait in line and then pay $20.
Yeah.
You'd be crazy.
Yeah. And 3 or 4 guys show up and they're all like 6'6", 300 pounds. What are you going to say?
Right.
Prove it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, try to...
Want to line up against me and I'll
try
show
to get
you.
to my quarterback. Yeah.
Speaking of that, our No Prize Pick'em challenge happened last week. And guess who won?
Dean.
Listener Dean
He's the best.
won again.
Wow.
The only game he got wrong was that Packers game. He picked Green Bay to win over the Vikings. They did not, but he got the rest of them correct. So he defeated you, me, and former Cardinal Mark Sweeney. So
how did I do?
Poorly.
I think I did poorly.
You did. Let's see. You got 5 right.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of us got 5 right.
Okay.
So you, me, Mark, we all got 5 right. Actually, Brad picked for you. Brad Young selected for you.
That's right. I didn't even play.
You weren't even here. Brad Young was in your... You're over there stealing valor.
You know why? Because I forgot, because it was Dean last time. So I picked with
Yeah,
Dean. I just
yeah,
didn't
you
pick
did.
with Dean the second time.
So Brad Young, he didn't, I forgot. Brad Young
I
was in
wasn't
for
here.
you. So Brad, Mark Sweeney, and me, we all came in with 5 apiece. So we will have one more no prize pick 'em this
Mhm.
Friday, final week of the season. Although we're going to do, I think, wild card going into wild card weekend. We might do another one. So because there are plenty of games to pick during wild card weekend
Yeah.
and divisional round playoffs.
I like when NFL games are on Saturday too.
It's the
I
best. Like
the
right
Saturday,
now,
Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Last couple of weeks, I love all day Saturday and Sunday.
Mhm.
That's really, really fun. This is a great part of the football season, and it's almost over.
Hey, did you get anything good for Christmas? Because I know
Sure.
you're a watch guy.
Mm-hmm.
I got a vintage, like gold, not real gold, but like, I don't know, gold plated. Like I wanted one of those vintage Timex Casio watches.
Yeah. Is
And
it a new one?
It's a new one, but
Yeah,
it's
those
made
are
to
great.
look old.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
pretty fun. Yeah, like I mean, it's just an old vintage. It's pretty big. I think it's either men's or unisex. It wasn't like the ladies version, but I got like a gold one, and it's pretty fun. It looks so old school. It looks
I
like
love
it's from
those.
like '85.
I have a calculator watch too.
Really?
Yeah, from I bought it a few years ago, and it was like $20 or
Yeah.
something. But one of the Casio calculator, the buttons hardly don't work. They
Yeah.
hardly work, but it's cool looking.
Yeah,
It's like you had it in the 80s.
I love it. I love the '80s. Yeah.
Did
What'd you get?
What did I get? I gotta think about it, and I'll get back to you. I know
You'll
I got
never
good
get
stuff.
back to us.
I'll never get back to you because thinking for me takes a
Pam,
lot.
have I got news for you?
A texter, not a texter, but somebody watching us on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can watch KMOX on YouTube
Yeah.
at KMOX 1120. So you can find the show live there. Wanting to know about the BMW that cut you off.
Yes.
Wanted to know if it was black because that guy was going on the curb and shoulders on Sunday morning on Highway K, getting on to 40. I have dash cam video of it.
Oh my gosh, do you really?
That's what they
so
said.
I think it might have been black because it was night and it was dark. And when I say my life flashed before me and I saw the BMW, like, what would you call it? Just like move right through. Like the back of his car went right through the front of my car, almost
Yeah.
like a ghost.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we didn't crash. It was, to this day, the closest thing I've ever come to a high-speed crash. I think it might have been black. I bet it was an older, one of the big, I think it's a 7 Series that they don't make anymore. Kind of square-er in shape. It wasn't a new one. Oh, I bet it was that guy.
Amy, today is National Bacon Day. Did you know it?
Well, I did. And the thing is, we didn't know it soon enough because you had the best idea ever last night at like midnight when you texted or whenever it was.
Is
And that was
we should have done the broadcast from the Bacon Log
Yes.
Cabin in Baldwin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why did we not do that?
I don't know, but it bothers me. No, I'll tell you. Well, that's not the thing that bothers me. What bothers me is when I talk to somebody from Baldwin and I mention the Bacon Log
Yeah.
Cabin and they say, I don't know what you're talking
How
about.
do you not know? The Bacon Log Cabin is literally the first memory I have of West County. Is that sign?
My grandmother used to live in that subdivision where the Bacon Log Cabin was.
It's on
Is
Henry.
Still there. Yeah, it's right off Henry Road.
And it's built in probably 1820s, they say.
Yep.
Why did we not broadcast from the Bacon Log Cabin?
Probably because we didn't realize National Bacon Day was today. Did you know it was coming up?
Well, I mean, last night I did at midnight.
Yeah. Well, I didn't.
I think bacon's overrated.
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
What do you mean it's fine?
It's just kinda
Nothing smells like nothing
greasy and
smells.
heavy.
Well,
I
yeah,
think
of
it's
course.
really good to have one piece of bacon or maybe half a piece of bacon, but that's it. I
You're-
don't need a lot of bacon on a sandwich. I prefer salads without bacon. Sometimes I say, "Can you leave off the bacon?"
Do you think you're better than everybody else?
I mean, probably.
Bacon is extraordinary. And I get it. It became a thing for a long time, like how
Yeah.
great bacon
And
was. And I
bacon
get it.
sheets and bacon
I get it.
sweatshirts and bacon weddings.
But it is legitimately good. And
It's good.
And very good. And it does live up to whatever hype.
It got
The smell-
overexposed.
Nothing smells
It's like
as good as bacon.
Ryan Reynolds is the bacon of Hollywood, and bacon is the Ryan Reynolds of the breakfast
That
food.
doesn't even.
It's good, but it's just overexposed. It's
No,
overdone.
okay.
Take a break.
All right.
Go away.
All right. We're going to be back with you tomorrow. The Chris and
From
Amy
the Bacon
Show.
Log Cabin?
We're not going to be at the Bacon Log Cabin. But
What?
coming up next, the Gas House Gang with Kevin Wheeler and Bernie Miklasz. They're going to do a year in review sort of thing
Nice.
today. So you're going to want to listen in to
Yeah.
that because the Dave Glover show is out on vacation till the new year. But coming up next, Kevin Wheeler, Bernie Miklasz. Anything you missed from this show is on the Odyssey app. You've got to download it, baby. What a great free Christmas gift it can be for you. Get the Odyssey app. Listen to the podcasts. We'll be back with you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Amy Marks Kors, Chris Ranji, KMOX.